Welcome to Stay Plugged In. I'm going to be your host this evening, CLT Pathfinder. With me today, an awesome guest, Corey Parks from New Haven University. Corey, thanks so much for joining me here today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. First and foremost, just tell me a little bit about your program over there at New Haven. I know you have a lot of things going on. You got a lot of equipment. You have a state-of-the-art facility and things that you're working on. But just tell the viewers who have no idea, that have never heard of New Haven before, a little bit about your program.
Yeah, University of New Haven. I like to always start off with the academics and the varsity side of things. We have an esports and gaming degree, which I would like to showcase, but also the varsity side of stuff where we compete at a high level. Two of my biggest priorities for the program is to give individuals resources to take steps into their career for esports, wherever that is. If you want to become pro, I want you here. My background's from the Counter-Strike scene. I've been playing for 10 plus years, ex-pro, and I have a pro player here currently in the Counter-Strike roster as well. But really just growing up these rosters to, make people academically sound. And then also if there's any version of competition you want to find, it's going to be through us. It's kind of the big gist of everything, but it's kind of mirroring traditional sports in a sense of we have this program that's not just going down there and playing for 6 hours that's aimless and pointless. We have a structure to what we're doing day to day, and it's for the team, for the individual, and for the program.
I love it. That's awesome. What kind of programs are you guys working on over there, using esports as a platform to really prepare people for their career, maybe after they leave esports behind, specifically as a player, after that period is over for them?
Yeah, I always talk about all the intangibles of what esports really brings if you're looking for it. So it's really a combination of realizing that your, thousands of hours you're putting into what people might seem as an aimless game is really not. It's the critical thinking, the decision making, the teamwork, the leadership that you're kind of creating, and we're pulling that out and showcasing it so you can express on your resume later, or at least talk to it, right? And then there's also the other side of the whole academic side, where we have partnerships with HyperX and Twitch and other companies to be able to make that academic within esports might be your first steps into a career in it, right? So that was also, like you said, state-of-the-art equipment, like with 24 hertz monitors, mechanical keyboards, the whole 9 yards, basically giving you an understanding of what's being used in the current day for competitive esports at the professional level.
Yeah, so let's take a second and just talk directly to the students. If you had a chance to be able to talk to the students, and my thought process would be, explain to the students, what do you think the skills they can work on today that will help prepare them for the collegiate scene?
That's a really good question. Communication. I have no doubt in my mind that most high school seniors or, first year college students have the mechanics down a lot of the time. All the other things that you probably haven't worked on as much that I think I'm looking at or other legit programs are looking at is your communication and teamwork. You probably always run into a queue of some kind where someone didn't use their microphone. If you're not the one using the microphone, that's a big problem. So, things that you've been working on right now, in my opinion, in the top 3 would be like time management, mechanical skill, and then teamwork and communication. So if you start aiming to do those things on your day-to-day routine, you'll have a lot of coaches knocking at your door.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's awesome. I think that's great advice. I know that's one thing we talk to our kids about a lot is time management, because most of them play in multiple leagues at this point, right? So they're going to play in a high school league and maybe an amateur league on top of this. So the management of being able to play in multiple different leagues, because I think that your players probably go through something similar like that, where they're trying to manage multiple different leagues that they're currently playing in, right?
Definitely. We actually just got done with our ESCA league, which I was able to compete in, which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
So you have something that's outside the collegiate scene that your coach is playing with you, and then they also have the collegiate CSL league that we have a match in about 30 minutes for. So, that's the one thing, too, that I always express is that it's not like other traditional sports where you have one conference, one spot to compete for college, what school you're going to. We have 1,000 options. Well, not 1,000. That might be exaggerating a little bit, but you have more than 4, right, which is really rare for any type of competitive play.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about the games that you're currently competing in, and then what games you think you're going to reach out to in the future for your collegiate program.
Right. So right now we have competing rosters in Rocket League, League of Legends, Valorant, and Counter-Strike. The 2 games I'm directly trying to expand. Oh, Call of Duty as well right now. We just got our 4th player ready to roll out for the new COD. What we're trying to expand on in the next semester to a year is I'm looking for Smite players and R6 players. 2 awesome communities, smaller games relative to the genre that they're in, but I think some of the best players in the world are, at a college or high school level, are playing these games as well. So there's no point in not trying to build up that roster.
Absolutely. So these kids that are looking for opportunities right now, especially for this R6 league and also our our Fall Nationals League for Rocket League, could definitely look to the University of New Haven for a spot and a home in the future.
Oh, yeah, that'd be fantastic. I mean, I'd like to point out, too, that we, on average, our esports varsity players get $20,000 in eSport Merit Scholarship, and that starts with a conversation with me. So, again, it goes back to this is a serious program that I want you to succeed, but I want you to come out here and compete and put in the time, and, I'll take care of the rest with you.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, Corey. I appreciate it. Give a shout-out real quick or where people can find you if they're looking for you.
Oh, yeah. Well, to be honest, the best way you can reach me is cparks@newhaven.edu is my email. I have a Twitter around there somewhere. It's just flashed up, and I think the E is a 3.
Okay.
But that's about it.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks so much, Corey. I really appreciate you coming on. I'm really excited for your program and wish you continued success moving forward.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Can't wait to be back here again.
Thank you. So from that point, we're going to get into match number 1. But before that, we're going to do a quick intermission. We're going to show you guys our top 5 from Rainbow Six Siege, our newest highlights. Here they come.
KK push.
That's not dead. One more.
He has to go for pressure, chill.
Yes. Be quiet, be quiet. Push me close, push me. What's close, yeah, but go, please hold across. I don't know if I can kill this switch. No, one back.
That's the 2 sound.
Game, boys.
Can I finish her? Oh, I definitely can finish her.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Winter Breach. I am Box Turtle. Alongside me today is none other than Tails, the Rainbow Six duo, back in action again. How you doing today, buddy?
Doing great. We got a good hashtag Tails Turtle going.
It's here. It's here. You've all been asking for it. I know. And my DMs are blowing up. No, they haven't. But anyway, we're here.
Twitter's blowing up, though.
It's true. But we're here to bring you another amazing match night of Winter Breach. For those of you who are not familiar, Tails, give people an update on what they can expect from Winter Breach moving forward.
So yeah, Winter Breach is the Rainbow Six Siege specific game of our recruiting league platform here at Stay Plugged In, and the entire goal is to take the players, mainly high school students, and get them recruited into college, right? And we do that in a variety of different ways, including stream nights like this to give them visibility where collegiate recruiters can come into our Twitch stream, have fully produced games and casted all in-house here, local to Charlotte, because we really want to keep building the community from within. So super awesome opportunity for the players here tonight. But kind of looking at match 1, we have Romeo versus Kilo. Tell me a little bit about what we expect to see from this matchup as we look forward.
Yeah, so these are 2 teams from Division 2. We have 4 divisions broken down into this series with the top 2 teams of each qualifying for the Winter Major at the end of the season. This is going to be a match inside of that Division 2. These 2 teams obviously I've had we're familiar with one of them. One of them have played in a variety of spin tournaments we've done over the past year or so. The other one is a completely fresh new team that we've never seen before compete in anything aside from Winter Breach. So we're super excited to see exactly how this is going to shake out. But the level of talent that exists with these players is immense, and I don't think we say it enough, especially not on stream, how much talent there actually is that exists within inside the high school space. I mean, of course, that's why we're doing what we do, but at the same time, I mean, this is exactly why the level of play that you're going to see from teams across the board tonight and moving forward with the coming months are going to be incredible. I mean, these players are so talented.
Yeah, absolutely. It's insane to kind of look at these, 15, 16, 17-year-olds and be like, wow, they're like 10 times better than me.
Yep.
And I've been playing this game since like day one of launch. And they've, maybe picked it up in the last year or two. And from there, it's the sky of the limit. And it's so great that they have these opportunities now to showcase their talents because, as we know, esports is incredibly new, right? Only about 5 years ago is when we saw really large dedicated support from investor dollars and the size of the viewership. And since then, it's been growing so incredibly fast. But, it's still trickling down from the pro scene to the collegiate scene and to the high school scene to really have those dedicated leagues and structure. So the students that are currently developing all these skills within the game can, be highlighted and use them for their future as they look towards college.
Totally. And, obviously Rainbow Six Siege as an esport is growing so much. High school esports is growing so much. Collegiate esports is growing so much. And the industry as a whole, I mean, it's booming bigger than everybody expected it to, even over the past couple of years. So we're excited to even just be a part of it and add our little morsel to the pie that is the esports industry. But nonetheless, we do need to take you over some rosters for this evening. So as Tails mentioned here, we do have Romeo versus Kilo. First up is that Romeo roster, and that is going to be made up of Sir Mepsalot, Artful, Daniel, Seafoles, and Vlizy. These are going to be a nice heavy mix of fraggers and supports. This team is obviously played together in years past. We do have a couple seniors on that team, I believe. Vlizy is going to be our only senior on that team, if I'm not mistaken. So a relatively younger team compared to the other team we're going to see tonight in Kilo. Tails, break us down Kilo.
Yeah, absolutely. Kilo right now is sitting at 1-2 as a record for the season. And they have matched up against Romeo before. They lost 7-0. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can bounce back. But looking at that roster, we do have Pendy, Mood, Ravioli, Barlow, and Benny, with Pendy and Mood being the two seniors. And we always love to highlight the seniors because they're the ones that are being actively recruited. They're the ones that are getting looked at by seniors, not by seniors, by the colleges because they are a senior. Mixing up my words there. But, it's super important to highlight them so they get all the opportunities that they can have. Plain and simple, they can get recruited. But looking at that, at this roster, we got a couple fraggers and 3 supports. So really, probably going to see a more strat-heavy team, really relying on their utility usage and teamwork and communications to win this round rather than just straight gun skill.
Totally. Quick update, Mood is going to be subbed out for Bunny this game. There was, I believe, a technical issue on that side, so we will see Bunny playing instead of Mood for tonight's matchup. Throughout the course of matches tonight, you can, of course, find more information right there in the Twitch channel using the Command's website if you would like to find our new website where you can find all information for everything across the board. The Command Winter Breach is going to take you through to exactly where the registration link is, I believe, for the next season, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And then there's another Command Fall Nationals. If you are a Rocket League player and you're watching this, we do the same thing as we're doing for Siege, but for Rocket League, we stream those matches on Thursdays. So by all means, check that information. Make sure that you get all the information you need. If you would like to sign up and be a part of this, we would love to have you. The more, the merrier. But our first map tonight is going to be on Consulate. This, of course, is, take us through a little bit of what we can expect to see from this map, especially as you said, these are going to be strat-heavy teams from what we're going to see tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Consulate's a very flexible map, right? When you look at the pro scene, it varies wildly how different teams play Consulate within regions and between regions, right? It's been historically, if you look back at the history in the last 2 or 3 years of Siege, South America, LATAM, fam has really loved this map in Consulate, but now it's really a map favored by a lot of different teams. It's so much flexibility. We're seeing the meta shift continuously. We used to see a lot of that primary defense sitting on that CEO site, CEO and meeting on that second floor, but now we're seeing the basement come into a lot, and also split site, which was added, not so recently, but in the last year a little bit more. So I'm super excited to see how both these teams attack. I'm expecting to see a lot of full map clears, so entering on that second floor and clearing all the way down if they are not, of course, not holding second floor. So I'm super excited. As we know, Constant is one of those maps that just by spawning in the map, you kind of already gain control of the inside of the map as the attackers, because there are so many windows and so many great sight lines and so many vaulted angles that the attackers can take advantage of, right? So defenders have to be super careful on their rotations, on which windows they peek, and where they're anchoring, because it's super easy for the attackers to drone, and then all of a sudden, they hold one of those rotations, and then those defenders are stuck. A simple frag grenade or a good crossfire will take care of those defenders.
We are getting the match set up right now. I believe everybody's in the lobby. We're ready to get started. But like you said, this is going to be a match where we are going to see a lot of frags come out, right? There's going to be a lot of trades that we see. Soft breach, I would imagine, is most likely going to be exactly what's used here. Just something a little bit quicker, something that they can easily rotate between those points, especially if they are playing vertically. But nonetheless, of course, these teams do have a healthy mix of supports and fraggers. So this is going to be a strat-heavy match. I'm excited to see exactly how both of these teams approach this, especially considering we do have two teams that, one is a pre-made team. They've played together for quite some time, and the other is a complete free agent. But nonetheless, there's still an even split of fraggers and supports across both, and I would imagine that we are going to see similar strategies across both teams. So I'm interested to see exactly how this is going to shake out.
Yeah, absolutely. We are looking at one last player to get into the lobby. It looks like their PC might have just crashed, literally. So unfortunate timeline of events there. But kind of going into a little more detail. Starting on the attack is Team Romeo, which we know is that attack or that fragger heavy team, right? So I expect to see them bring, Ash, Zafia, IQ, Sledge, Buck, right? Really bring some kits that are really great for soft destruction with that verticality play that we're expecting to see. As like we mentioned earlier, Consulate is one of those maps that you like to clear top to bottom and then play down through the floors, right? Rip open those floors with shotguns, sledgehammers, breach charges, any soft destruction to really open up those sight lines, flush those anchors out of their preferred positions, and then get those plants down. So I'm super excited to see kind of how they go into it. Kilo starting on the defense, obviously. I expected them to probably play a little more passive, probably play a little deeper in sight. Maybe they hope to get that ban phase through with the win, maybe bring a Maestro or Mira to the table, not ban them, so they can play deeper in the site, play intel game. I think for Kilo to not be 7-0'd, they really need to focus on playing to their strengths, probably, electing to not take as many gunfights, playing off that utility, delaying with smoke, toxic babes, delaying with C4s, mirror windows, Valk cams, Maestro Evil Eyes, all of those types of utility and gadgets to really help slow those attacks, right?
Yep, for sure. I mean, for all the parents that are watching, and for people that may be not necessarily as familiar with this game from a competitive standpoint, what can people expect to see? How closely does this resemble the professional play, right? For parents, give them a more simplistic breakdown of exactly how this is going to work for both of these matches in terms of just a general gameplay.
Yeah, absolutely. So, looking at the pro scene, the pros, and this kind of goes for a lot of games, but especially in Rainbow Six, the pros kind of play a different level of the game, right? And we kind of see that analogy in traditional sports as well, that the pro scene is just different, right? People all the time talk about how collegiate football is way different than for professional football. And it's the same, right? These kids, they're really, really good. They're high up in that amateur scene, high level ranked in the game. And then also, they scrim daily. And they scrim a lot and they grind, but it doesn't look the same as a pro game. And a really good example of this is how the pros defend, right? So typically in ranked and high level play or in this amateur scene, you're going to see a lot of teams go to that second floor site, right? Console office / meeting. And it's super, super hard to defend that as a professional team because of all those sight lines you gain from outside the map. But for the pros, they actually start into basement, and then they go to that split site. And then if they have to go to that third site, they're going to pick lobby and piano rather than try to risk that second floor defensive hold. So they like to sit in the basement, play upright with C4s, and a lot of really great utility usage from that defensive side. So here we go. We are getting into the game. Finally, we got that player that had those PC issues resolved, and here we go. We're going. Pre-fire, just was maybe looking at that next angle, maybe worried about the repel player there that was on that connector repel, which honestly, those two attackers were in a winning position, right? They think the chance that they lose that is incredibly small because the attacker repel could just sit on repel and cover that diffuser from outside. And to kill that player, the Moose would have to jump out the window and go around the building. And by the time that they would have ran all the way back upstairs, it would have been far too long to defuse the bomb. But here we go. It looks like similar lineups again from Romeo and Kilo. The only difference, I think, actually two changes on the defensive side. We see a Legion and a Mute. So I'm interested to see how this operates here. Different strat, obviously same site, but a different defensive lineup obviously indicates a different strat. I think the defenders were in somewhat an advantage there, but they couldn't pull it out last time. We'll see if anything changes this time. I'm interested to see how this Mute affects the attackers, because the attackers did drone quite a lot last time. They did use a lot of their drones to be able to clear out where those anchors were. I really hope the Maestro Lou doesn't play in the same position. Playing Cubby in console office is basically a death sentence. You have nowhere to go, right? There's a hatch that you can open and drop, but at the same time, more than likely, that's not going to really do anything good. The attackers are going to hear you drop, land in piano, and then you're going to be isolating piano quite quickly. So,
yeah, I think, another interesting thing I think that's going to play out here is this bunny pick, which obviously we do see that he was the last one left on that map that first round. But ultimately, it is going to come down to, as we've seen, in lieu of a Valkyrie in terms of that intel, especially on these split pushes here from the attack, those Legion is going to be highly important in gathering that intel in terms of where exactly these teams are pushing from for that team. Comms are, of course, going to have to play a big factor in that, but in lieu of a Valk being able to gather that intel for you, a Legion is a good pick, and I don't think that's necessarily the wrong choice here by this Kilo side.
Yeah, and we see a different defensive setup. At the same time, we're seeing a different attack. They're, lining up their attack through... Oh, this Legion's in a terrible position. I have no idea what that Legion is doing. This is not a good idea. That Legion is completely trapped right now. I don't think he's going to survive this very long. That Habana almost gets a headshot through the wall there, as we can see through the operator lineup, but this isn't going to work for anybody. Yep, and there goes the Legion. You can't do that, right? This is a good team. They're going to drone those common little anchor spots. That Malusi, I have no idea what's doing there. These are very basic mistakes I think they're making. They're playing positions that you just can't defend. Right? They're saying, like, hey, I'm going to win these 1v1 gunfights, but then Romeo at the same time is like, hey, we're not going to give you 1v1 gunfights. At the worst, we're going to give you 1v2 gunfights and hold crosses and hold your rotation. So you might land a headshot, get a little lucky, but then you're going to immediately be traded off.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly what we've seen so far in this matchup, right? That this team is just being basically out-rotated right now. We're seeing that site control, and especially up in that admin point, that Romeo wasted no time. It was 2 repels, a drone, and then an instantly push in and gain control, and 2 or 3 picks later, we have exactly what we need from this team. So that's exactly, what you're talking about in terms of these positions that Kilo are holding. They are going to need to make those adjustments, and exactly what you see right there, they are able to trade that kill out, but that initial kill on site is not exactly the position you want to be holding prone around that corner. So not ideal from this Kilo side so far. They do need to make only some minor adjustments to be able to stay relevant inside of this match. And, obviously right now they are only down 3-2 in the second round of this, so there's still plenty of time for them to battle back and keep this a level fight. But for now, they do seem that they are getting heavily out-rotated and outmatched here, and they will need to make these adjustments, especially before they swap to attack.
Yeah, we're going to see what happens here. The Jaeger gets picked off. The Mute does get a kill to the floor. The Mute's below right now, which is incredibly important because I do believe the Mute still has a Nitrocell. So if he lands this Nitrocell, that Nitrocell's already been pre-placed. He can't win this. He needs to be able to throw up that, or be able to blow up the planter with the diffuser down. Not quite down yet, actually. If he could... And it looks like they do get the kill through the floor in meeting, or through the hatch, I'm sorry. In that meeting rotation as that Mute attempts to get back to site as he realizes that the player took the bomb into console office. And obviously, Mute still has that primary shotgun that can be used to go through that soft floor and get that kill on that planter, especially when there's pings, right? They brought a Maestro, so I'm sure there was 2 Evil Eyes left, or at least 1. We did see pings coming out on that planter. So there was definitely a chance there. This is a 2-0 scoreline. I think the defenders are making some mistakes. I feel like they need to switch sites, try a different site, get back on some momentum, win a round. But it's been close. You know, I think they're winning those mid-round battles, but they're really getting destroyed on those entries and on the finishing, right? They get to those 3-2 marks or 2-3 marks in the middle of the round, and they don't know what to do, right? They peak a little too aggressively, they rotate incorrectly, and they put themselves in really bad positions to try to clutch out, right? We see it from the best teams, right? G2, that legendary roster that kind of dominated Siege for about a year and played some of the best Siege that any of us has ever seen. If you have watched professional Rainbow Six for a while now, they were legendary for that, right? They never lost 2v3s, right? Even though they were down a man, they were in such good positions with great intel that they could come back from it, right? And I think, you know, Kilo obviously not going to be quite as good as that G2 roster, but I think they need to take some inspiration, right? Putting themselves in better positions to win those end-round, those late-round engagements and forcing those attackers to make plays instead of just kind of running into their bullets.
Yeah, no, and you know, I do think taking the basement here, like you said, they are swapping sites. They are going to go to a different layout here for this team. I do think the Maestro and the Goyo here are going to be very important in terms of keeping the team outside that door, especially on that rear or that front of the van plant site, which obviously they are going to be looking for from this Romeo side on the attacking point. So I'm very interested to see. They do seem to have picked the right comp and addressed basically their play style the right way inside of this defending hold here in Garage. That being said, we have seen that A, there's plenty of hard breach on this Romeo side, and B, they know how to outgun this Kilo side across the board. So it is going to be very interesting to see how they approach this. Obviously, of course, being a very different hold from before. Barlow on this Jaeger is still going to be roaming around trying to prevent some vertical pushes here from this Romeo side. Does seem to be aware of one, but Ravioli is going to get the pick. Barlow, not exactly where you want to fall, holding that angle so slowly there, but thankfully it is traded out. You know, of course, Ravioli being able to get the kill on perk, but nonetheless, that's not exactly the kill that you want to take here, because now it basically opens up that entire second floor for Romeo to play completely vertically.
Yeah, that Jaeger was, you know, kind of doing a solo run. I think the Mute had creeped up the main stairs to get the kill on the Zafi. I'm not quite sure where that kill had happened. It does appear that it could have been on that main stairs that Mute kind of went for an aggressive play, which tended to work out. But again, that Jaeger was in a really disadvantageous position, right? You don't want to be sitting in that console front desk area. You know, you get really trapped. There's a lot of cross angles to be held. But as we see, you know, verticality is super important in console, right? The Ash is already trying to shoot some holes out with some caliber-based destruction in Piano. I'm sure they're going to rotate around that sledge. Oh, they might get a kill here. Nope, does not look like they get a kill there. I think that Goyo was shooting, or it was aiming that Nitro throw to go stick to the roof, and that would have gotten Ash, but he threw it a little too low. The arc of that Nitro cell did not quite stick to the roof. And here we are, a wasted Nitro and no kill off of it. But the sledge here is playing really basic angles here, almost really on top of that Mute right now. That's an easiest kill in the world. You got to know playing behind white van as a defender, you can't do that when they're playing vertically. You have to retreat back into the site, play the long angles, and then play these flanks, which right now we're seeing a massive flank coming out from Ravioli, the Mute. If he can pull this off and get a kill or two, it's massive. But he gets basically fried right there on a free fire from the sledge. I'm sure there was a drone watching him right before that engagement happened. Here we see the Maestro peeking yellow stairs. They need to be firing. This Ash has no fear right now. The Ash is kind of just peeking at will. Now realizing that, you know, they don't really have any chance. The plant is going down here. This Maestro has a chance. Oh, the Maestro puts himself in a 1v1. He knows where the last attacker is. That attacker is at full health. He knows exactly where this player is on the staircase. Oh, and he gets him! An insane triple kill from Bunny, which was absolutely incredible on that Maestro. And I think we were talking about it on the last stream day last week, how powerful that Ulda can be.
Oh my!
He didn't even have to reload, right? A LMG with 80 bullets and a high fire rate takes out 3 people in a 1v3 situation post plants. Gets the defuse, gets the round win, and maybe that's that level of momentum that Kilo needs to get back on winning some rounds.
Yeah, that's a huge triple kill there at the end. I mean, as you're calling it out, that Ash basically with no fear, pushing directly up, getting the first kill on stairs, that second kill directly after the plant, and then, of course, knowing exactly where that third player is, just peeked that so hard, and of course, got the frag off of it. Excellent play there by Bunny. That being said, it took a triple kill to win that round.
Absolutely.
And I think that's going to be your biggest indication of exactly what needs to change here with how this Kilo side needs to address these matchups. We have seen that Barlow on the Jaeger does need to be maybe a little bit more patient on those rotations, not maybe hold angles so slowly, which is exactly what we've seen so far. Bunny, of course, needs to keep slaying out. We do see that Bunny is going to take the smoke now, which is going to be very, very good for area denial, which they did not have prior on this top site. And you know, that's exactly what I guess you want to see from this team. The execution may still be a question depending on if they can actually pull this off or not with this setup. But I do think that the operator picks that they've chosen instead this time around on this site is going to lend themselves towards a little bit better victory.
Yeah, absolutely. I just got word that it is not Bunny, it is Benny. So Benny, we apologize for mispronouncing their name. We didn't really wasn't sure of what that X represented. So it is Benny. We apologize again, but Benny with that awesome triple kill like we were just talking about. Let's see if they can carry that momentum into the next round. They go back to CEO and meeting that second floor defensive site, which they've had really no real success, right? Those 2 rounds they did lose, had some level of success. Oh, this is going to be a quick peek from the Ash. That Ash got that beat on that Malusi and sprinted basically straight into that map and pre-fired. The Ash from Epsilon has no fear right now in any way, shape, or form. He is just peeking whatever he kind of gets some intel on that he thinks he can jump in and get that pre-fire kill, which is historically what Ash has been known to do in the recent months with the meta changes to needing so much soft destruction and destructible utility. That Ash has actually become a very incredibly important utility player, oddly enough. So the Sledge is just opening up some basic angles right here. Spots an Evil Eye in meeting that Zafia or Ash is going to need to take care of that to really ensure that they're not getting some really great intel off of that. Those yellow stairs, it looks like the defenders planned for the attackers to be attacking through the yellow side, the console side, with how much utility has been used on those yellow stairs. But we see a really great attack coming out here. I'm not sure if there's a player in meeting right now. They get the mute jammers, they destroy the Evil Eye, and they're clearing the angles to go for this meeting room clear. But that Ulda with that Maestro is in connector, which could be massive. There is a player underneath as well. The mute is playing vertically. Ooh, nice shot there from Sir Mepsalot. Gets a headshot onto Ravioli, which is below. So it looks like they are in their roam clear now. That's a massive disadvantageous position for that mute. But the Maestro does get a frag back. Nomad quickly trades him off. Benny gets another quick trade there too as well. And a double kill. Benny's really popping off here. Mood gets traded off here. This is a 2v2. Benny with a triple kill. Oh my God, that is 2 triple kills in a row, putting his team in a 2v1 position. They both have some damage taken. But this Habana, I think, is in a good position to win this round if she can land the shots. Might get a bead here on with his mute. That is a soft wall. The smoke, pardon me, is sitting behind. So if he gets one, pre-fire a second, possibility that Type 89 is a very strong gun to say the least. But slow peeking is not the answer here. Oh, they know exactly where the Habana is. Goes to peek. I'm sorry. Gets one. Oh, does not get two. Benny with a quad kill to win his team the second round and tie it up 2-2.
Yeah,
so incredible clutch plays there.
Yeah, big kills from Benny all the way around, and that's exactly what we want to see. I mean, I just said it last round, you don't want to see a triple kill every round to win, but apparently Benny has exactly what it takes to be able to make that happen. So immensely impressive slays so far, massive 9-2 so far in this match for Benny, the sub coming in hot to lead their team back to this 2-2 thing here. But, you know, we are going to see one more round and then we swap, if I'm not mistaken, right? One more round and then we swap? Is that
No. 2 more rounds.
2 more rounds. Sorry. Excuse me.
We are on round number 5. We need to get through round number 6 to swap the attacking and defenders. And we see the defenders elect to go to a site we have not seen yet, the split site. Yeah. Archives and Tellers. Obviously, we were talking about before this game started how this is a professional play favorite, right? We've seen Dark Zero kind of really design the strategy that everyone has since modified or tweaked, but that core strategy being the same of basically being like, hey, I'm going to take 4 nitro cells and play in archives, and if you try to walk in tellers, I'm going to blow you up. We do see, actually, yes, we do see 4 nitros here. That Mozzie, Mute, Pulse, and Malusi all have 4 a nitro cell each. And I think Barlow with that Vigil is probably going to time waste, just kind of lurk around the map. Because you do kind of have to attack through Visa, so he could try to play vertically through the admin hatch if he wanted to. Probably not the best idea because that's pretty easily droned out. But just slow playing that west side of the map over by console office and then going for a late flank is super important. Also with 2 impact grenades, that Vigil could use them to rotate around their map quite quickly because we all know console is pretty small and you can get from end to end pretty quickly if you really want to. So with that being said, I'm excited to see how they defend this split site. But what do we see here from the initial kind of positioning of the attack?
Yeah, we are going to see a little bit of a split push here. Like you said, they are probably most likely going to be pushing through that Visa. I'm interested to see exactly, obviously the sledge has been vitally important here. We have not seen a whole lot from Habana yet. There's not been a whole lot of need for this hard breach. I think, Seafoles has done nothing but basically kill so far. I don't think it actually has used any utility so far to actually enter into any part of the map. I am interested to see exactly how they are going to use that, as well as the Ash and Sir Meps. Obviously Meps has been getting a few kills, but aside from that, again, no hard breach. I'm very interested to see if they're going to stick with that through the remainder of their attack in this map, or if they're going to switch it up, maybe go for a little bit more soft reach, maybe pair up that sledge with a buck. Something that has a little bit more vertical play, something that has a little bit more slaying power. Very interesting play there here from the Vigil. Just barely dips out to get away. I say that, just kidding. Epsilon is going to take down Mood, which is the Mozzie there. So big kill, but I mean, Barlow is still 1 health. Just barely got out of there and snuck into Piano, but it is still going to be very interesting to see exactly how you're going to get away with this. This Kilo side is holding some odd angles.
Yeah, the odd for this time in the round for sure. I think they need a little more Visa control. They are going for that roam clear, right? I think they identified that Vigil and Mozzie was kind of dual roaming upstairs, or in that first floor at least. That first floor with that Mozzie and that second floor with the Vigil. I think the Vigil made a really poor decision in making that rotation. He got a little unlucky there. He got pre-fired through that soft wall to take most of his health away. Honestly, I don't know what that Mozzie was thinking and just peeking right underneath a hatch, right? You never really want to do that as an attacker in Siege. You want to make sure that you peek safe angles where you're looking is the only place that you could be killed from, right? That is the ideal angle, obviously not possible with everything. That Vigil is on the flank here. Could get a lot of kills here. Looks like they are going to start their execute with about 50 seconds left. They're going to try to attempt to plant. They're going to clear a Wub, clear 2 Wub, clear all 3 Wub, and they're going to be getting that plant down with that Habana in that support role. It looks like it's going to be successful. And it is. I didn't even hear a nitro cell go off. There's a Pulse alive still. Like, the Pulse sees the heartbeats of those 3 attackers, or 3 of the attackers, and doesn't really do anything about it. I'm not really sure what was happening there. Maybe it's distracted by noise or something. But in this position where this sledge is right now, the attackers can honestly go AFK, and they're still going to win. 2 quick kills there from the attack, and it looks like this is going to be a defensive win. That UMP is no match for any of these attackers. Does get a headshot on the pre-aim onto that Ash, but that Zofia has a great cross here and makes quick work of that Pulse.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, we saw Benny did come out with a trade there, got the top, that refrag there at the top of the stairs, but, I mean, in a 1v3 situation, there's only so many times we're going to see Benny be able to pull that off. But nonetheless, of course, Mep still is going to be getting crazy amounts of kills here. This is going to be the last round for both of these teams on their respective sides of the map. I'm looking for a defensive switch here, which we do see come out a little bit. We do see the Goyo come out. We do see the Maestro come back as well. We do see Mood on a Kaid. Explain to us a little bit how that's going to play into this. We have not seen that yet.
Well, we did see it on the last basement hold, I believe.
I don't think so.
Maybe I'm wrong. But Kaid is super flexible, right? When Kaid first came out, the TCSG-12 was an incredible weapon. It is a DMR that basically 2-shot you in the chest from most distances, especially at that average combat distance in Siege at about 5 to 7 meters. Looks like, I'm not sure. He is bringing the TCSG-12. It has been nerfed since it was first released. But more importantly, The gadget's the most important part here, right? Those spider claws, as I like to call them, electro claws, I think is the real name, exactly what they do. They stick to any surface, basically, and they electrify any reinforcements and or barbed wire around them, which is super important for the basement. And the area of effect of those electro claws is the same size as that entire garage wall, right? So if you put one Kaid in the middle of the basement garage wall, it will electrocute all 3 of those panels, which we all know as a attacker, if you are playing hard breach like Thermite and the wall is electric and you go to put your exothermic charge down, or your Habana pellets, or your Ace charge, or Maverick counters it, it gets destroyed instantly because it's electrified, right? So they're looking for a little bit of wall denial here. It looks like they're going for a lot of bit of wall denial with the Kaid and Mute Jammers both affecting that wall. So we'll see if the attackers can overcome this. I think the easiest way to do this is to get that vertical control, right? If you get piano control, you can open up the floor right above that garage wall, look down, shoot the electro claws and the Mute Jammers, and then your Thermite can open that wall up quite easily. But this Jaeger is playing the yellow stairs right now. There is some heavy droning, and it's going to be an easy kill. Yep. It's those crosses. You have to understand as a defender that more than likely someone has already entered in main lobby and made it to piano and is holding your cross if you are trying to play the yellow stairs this late in the round by yourself, right? If you have a partner in piano, right, a duo, roamer with you, then I think you have a much better chance of surviving that. But that Jaeger is kind of just by himself and gets killed on that rotation. We're going to see the same attack here as well.
Which we've seen a lot so far. I mean, not to, talk badly about any one specific player, but we have not seen a lot so far from Barlow on that Jaeger. This could just be evident of very, very good team play from this Romeo side in terms of how exactly they're attacking and approaching each of these different sites. But the roaming play there from Jaeger up on those upper floors, preventing that verticality play, has been basically a moot point. I mean, you haven't really seen anything impactful come from that play so far. I'm interested if they are going to stick with it or not. If I were them, I would look to maybe switch up something, maybe look to gain a little bit more from a different sort of approach or just a different role from somebody else in general, looking to, take that roaming play away from Jaeger. But ultimately, I mean, Romeo has basically eliminated that ability so far entirely, which is exactly what you want to see when you're looking to play vertically. Benny is able to pick up one, gets traded out on the stairs. We do have one person on site right now looking like they are about to go for the plant on that diffuser. They are back on the other side of the bus. Goes for the Thermite or the C4, not quite able to get it, and attackers are going to take that one as well, commandingly so. Just the entrance onto that site was basically uncontested.
Yeah, they learned from their mistakes of like, hey, let's not hold crosses on the Alda, right? Let's not give the Maestro 3 1v1 gunfights. Let's force that Maestro away from the pipes, right? The Maestro does get one kill, which is pretty much expected there. Entering that garage is pretty dangerous, to say the least. But there was a player behind the black car right there, that black sedan, and a player in yellow stairs are like, oh, that Maestro just killed my buddy on pipes. Let's both peek at the same time, and the Maestro instantly goes down. So that is how you clear that Maestro from that position, having a really great crossfire. So kudos to the attackers, and you can see they were holding the flanks, they were holding the crosses as those last two defenders try to counter that rest of that push. That Kaid trying to throw that C4. You have to kind of predict that is going to be a fake plant, right? All you have to do is open it. That box Q, right? That opening that metal diffuser is really loud, really distinct. But you can also fake out the defenders, right? Like, hey, I'm planting. Psych, I'm not. I'm going to come off the plant and I'm going to shoot them. Right, and that nitro, obviously you have to throw it and then push the button to blow it up, so that is not going to kill you if that person that threw it has since died. So now that we have flipped sides and Romeo is on the defense with that 4-2 split, obviously coming off the attacking split with a 4-2 advantage is massive. Consulate a pretty even map, still defender favored, but Romeo Obviously, a 3-3 split's pretty much neutral, and obviously winning the split, doesn't matter what side you're on, you won the split, but it's especially important for the attackers because defending is still technically a bit easier just by a few percentage points. And here's something, Sir Mepslot is spawn peeking. Constant's a really easy map to spawn peek after. And the attackers, Romeo never really got contested by Kilo from that last half, right? Kilo kind of just let them walk up to the map, rappel up, and enter, right? And you can see that, Jaeger, that Sir Mepslot is already being like, hey, I'm not afraid. I'm going to peek you, maybe land a lucky headshot, and make you have to clear and pre-aim all of the windows, right? Just making those attackers pre-aim or look at all of those windows is incredibly important because it actually saves you about 15 to 20 seconds of time on the defense, right? It wastes 15 to 20 seconds of time. So we do see an interesting pick here on a Blackbeard by Benny. Blackbeard is a solo operator, right? Blackbeard used to be very, very, very good back in year 1 of the game, in year 2. He has a face shield that if you shoot that face shield, normally it would be a headshot and an instant kill. But instead, it is rather absorbed by that bulletproof glass. Obviously, you can only probably land 2 or 3 bullets there, and then that shield breaks and goes away. A good pre-fire there. They are playing aggressively on a deployable shield on long desk. All they need is one simple cross here to clear this defender. Not really sure why there isn't someone in that small office by the top of, I believe, top of Visa stairs. But that Ash is kind of just quick peeking here. R4C is an incredibly good weapon. But here we are, about a minute left in the round, and it's still 5v5, Box Turtle.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see exactly how this Kilo side is going to be approaching on attack. Of course, we do see the Ash come back out. We do see the Thermite as well, and of course the Zafia. But so far, you can see very quickly how much that chemistry of these two teams plays into each other, right? This Romeo side would have been already on site taking advantage at this point. All 5 players from both sides are still up. Kilo is very clearly taking their time, or they're having a lot of trouble gaining actual advantage on this team. He does get peeked there. Benny does fall, not quite able to get the peek there. Jumps right into sight and gets crossfired immediately. Barlow is going to pick up that initial kill on the good angle there on Blyzy, which is going to take down, back down to a 4-4 fight here. So we're still looking at something relatively even, but again, time is on their side here. There's only 25 seconds left, and they're holding these tight angles. And Mepslot getting a kill, and I mean, trades after trades. Yeah, I mean, trades after trades. It's a 3-3 fight, but at the end of the day, there's 15 seconds left. You have to make a move now, and the entire defense is still holding sight.
10 seconds left.
Another trade here. It looks like this might be a 1v2. I think that Ash has to get 2 quick kills here to chance. The defenders, all they have to do is literally not peek, and you're going to force the Ash into the inability to do anything except stand there and die and or not plant and try to survive, but meaningless. As we all know, those plants take 7 seconds to complete. So even if you started with 1 second left, you're going to be sitting there, and if you come off the diffuser at the end of the round, and the round instantly ends. So great play there by the defense, just really time wasting, soaking up that attacking utility and being like, hey, you have 15 seconds left. Although the man count was even at 3-3, they had 15 seconds. And when you're trying to execute in 15 seconds with a poor position, right, that anchor was still in meeting. There was an anchor still in connector and someone peeking console desk down that long desk towards vending machines. Those are 3 really great defensive positions. And they kind of just funneled into sight lines and died. Realistically, you needed someone on south balcony to clear that person in meeting, and then even ideally someone on connector repel to clear that connector, and then there was a much better chance of the attackers being able to take that round. So interesting to see how that shook out. Romeo is now up 5-2, and they elect to go to the basement. Which is, I think in my opinion, the strongest site on this map, from what I've seen both in amateur play and professional play. But these two teams think differently. They prefer that upper floor site. So, being the defenders, looks like they are going to be roaming quite a bit. Sir Mepslot is going to be peeking piano, basically. If anyone doesn't know what that Jaeger hit open those windows just a few seconds ago. Looks like he's going to be going for a kind of crazy peek here, jump out, peeking towards gas station. Looks like doesn't see anybody, immediately goes back in, says, yeah, I don't see anybody, not going to risk it.
Not quite worth it at that circumstance. If you are joining us, this is the first match of the evening. Romeo is up 5-2 on Kilo, only needs to take 2 more away in order to take this 7-2 victory in this match 1 of the evening. But that being said, Kilo has shown some pretty incredible signs of life, right? They are down 3 rounds in this differential. This is a drastic improvement from what we saw when these 2 teams faced off earlier in the season. It was a 7-0 sweep, so already performing immensely better. And you can tell that some of that experience in playing this team before is starting to pay off here, right? We are seeing that Kilo is able to take a little bit more time. They are introducing their patience. I say that Mepslot is going to take down Barlow on that Ash there quickly on the rotate. Does seem to have their eyes on one more. Here's an entry. Is going to dip out maybe just in case there's a multiple operators there. But so far we have seen that the Jaeger play by Mepslot is leaving a far greater impact than the Jaeger play we saw from Kilo back on their defensive hold on this map, which I think is exactly what you want to see, especially playing this basement where the verticality there is so important. Taking that away from this Kilo side is only going to slow them down more, which, as we've seen so far, this Kilo side does need to increase their pace of play a little bit there. Pendy does take down Perk, so is able to trade out and get a, take it back to a 4v4 fight, but there's still a lot of round here left to have. And again, I think that this is just a little too slow from what we need to see from this Kilo side so far.
Yeah, I totally agree. You got a minute left. Most of them are either outside of the map or on that top floor, which is not where you want to be, right? You want to be starting your verticality play, right? Romeo had a lot of success on their attacking side by playing vertical with that sledge, right? And, Kilo's in no position to kind of pursue that right now. You got one player, the Thermite, outside of the basement garage. They're still trying to clear the Kaid. It does look like Mood the Zafia has officially cleared that anti. Ooh, and they're tricking the wall, which is super feels bad, man. Looks like they're not gonna be able to get this wall open. The Captain gets another kill onto the sledge. The rest of your soft breach kind of has gone away. Zafia may still have a breaching charger too. Gotta land that shot there. There we go. This is back to a 3v3 with Pindy on a double kill. Traded off in that Z hallway by the Jaeger. Sir Mepslot is like, yeah, we have man advantage. I'm going to retreat to site. And another trade.
Ooh.
20 seconds left, and this is seeing potential, right? It really depends on where those defenders are. It looks like one is going to be playing white van and one is defending the back, thinking that there might be a flank play here. There's one in North Hallway. Gets the pre-fire. Another trade, 1v1, but that Maestro is in the better position to end that round. Gets a pretty easy kill on the vault of the Thermite, I believe, over that yellow stairs railing. Yeah, like landing those shots in that vaulting animation is basically impossible. It is more luck than anything. If you do land a lucky headshot, that Maestro will win that gunfight 99% of the time. And here we are on match point.
Yeah, 6-2 match point. Romeo does need to take only one more away. Sir Mepslot, of course, leading the team with those slays. But again, looking at that scoreboard there, it is close, right? Kilo is, of course, not very far behind in terms of slays. What we've seen from them so far is that OBJ. It's the objective. They have not been able to adequately play that objective within the time. And that's obviously, of course, due in part to this Romeo side being very good at that area denial, taking away those cross rotations and taking away some of that vertical play that this Kilo side has been looking to use on the offense. But ultimately, it is going to come down to, we didn't see anybody even attempt to enter that site until about 35 seconds left of that last round. And that's not at all what you want to see from the attack here from this Kilo side, especially rocking 2 hard breaches there. And now we do see the Jackal come out as well. So there is going to need, hopefully this would encourage a little bit more pace of play, which is of course what they need to see. They do need to win 5 straight in order to stay alive in this match, or 4 straight rather. But again, this is a very different style of play from what we saw in the last first half of this match. This Romeo side took site very, very quickly. When they did push, they pushed as whatever collective group they had, and that's not what you've seen from this Kilo side. You're seeing a lot of solo fights, a lot of individual trades, and you can't solo trade everything to a victory, right? You're going to have to be able to utilize some team play and gain a little bit more advantage on site as a group.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you really did hit that in the head there. It comes down to team play versus individual play, right? That Blackbeard, a couple rounds ago, just kicking into sight with no real gameplay. He's like, yeah, maybe I got a few kills and save the day. Vinny obviously being that person with a quad kill and a triple kill to win the 2 rounds that Kilo has really just isn't enough, right? You got to play as a team. You got to clear as a team. You got to commit as a team, and there's just too much hesitancy. And I think that's what's really separating the 2 teams. Romeo is just probably a little tighter in their communications. They're definitely faster on their roam clears, or on the opposite side as the defenders, they do waste way more time. Like right now, this roam is a great roam, right? There are 2 roamers on second floor working together, rather than like what we saw Kilo do is 1 roamer on the second floor, kind of just really open to any kind of flanking solution from the attacks. But right now they're time wasting right now, soaking up those drones. There are Kapkan traps everywhere. Kapkan is an interesting pick. We really never see Kapkan, not the best operator in the world, but Romeo's like, no, we want those Kapkan laser mines, and we're going to peek these long angles. Playing bathroom and connector here is basically a default roam strat that you see all the time in top end play, and they're just going to sit here relatively safe and be like, yeah, push me, see what happens. So here we are. Maybe the Ash is kind of taking that challenge I just said. They'll see what happens. Does blow up the wall with an impact here to try to get that person playing long desk. Get some longer angles towards that door. Some pre-fires head level at those common angles where those attackers are going to be peeking. We're almost at 1 minute left in the round, and it's still a 5v5, and all the attackers are kind of clumped. Actually, 1 nitro cell might clear all 5 attackers right now. At least 3 of them. They're all kind of clustered in that admin front desk right now, which is quite hilarious.
We talked about being able to push on the site sooner, and as a group, which is exactly what they're doing. They're just doing it in a way to which they're all basically in a line for a single magazine to get a kill, which is exactly what we've seen so far. Perkin, a quick double. A trade came out there as Pendy is able to take down Meps, who is the fragger for their team right now, but it is still down to a 4-2. And as another one falls yet again, and we're down to back to a 3-2 as Pendy and Benny still alive here. Benny able to pick up that kill there on S4M to take this back to a 2-2. Plenty of life still left for both of these teams, but again, like you said, 25 seconds left in this match, approaching 20. Something needs to happen immediately as Seafols does get the first pick. Pendy does get the first one, but oh my gosh, Vlizy is going to get that last kill, and defenders are going to take round 9 for the 7-2 victory. And this is going to be a victory for Team Romeo, a hard fought. And again, we did talk about them 7-0ing this Kilo team earlier this season. So a much better performance from the Kilo side, but there is still plenty of adjustments that they need to take away from this match moving forward through the rest of the season.
Yeah, I absolutely agree there. Once again, we saw just a slow attack, right? It looks like the defenders were going to be just screaming into that victory. But, Kilo did kind of pull it back there, right? Those last couple of rounds were kind of close in some trades, but, they had to, the defenders could sit back and make them come to them. They didn't have to go make a play. And we saw that, Nomad did get that pre-fire kill onto that Maestro to end the round, or to make it to a 1v1. But with that smoke behind a deployable shield, the chance the smoke loses that gun battle is incredibly low, no matter what tier of play you're at. It is incredibly easy to just quick crouch peek up and down off those deployable shields. There are glass slits, so once you see movement on one of those peeking angles, it's like crouch, press C or Control, wherever your keybind is, look up, left click, and the round's over. And that's exactly what we saw.
Yeah, no, it is. And so much of what led to their success as well was slowing down that Kilo side, right? Especially right there in those last couple rounds on attack. There wasn't a whole lot that Kilo could do to take a lot of map advantage or positioning away from that Romeo side. They basically eliminated every possible angle and roamer, or even any a split push. I mean, we saw a couple split pushes there, and they just individually took them out one by one. A couple trades coming out for the Kilo side. They were able to battle back a little bit in those rounds and make it somewhat close, but there are going to need to be some things that need to be adjusted by this Kilo side moving forward. But nonetheless, I do think that they are facing now. That's twice that they've played the top team in Division 2. So not a bad showing, but we're looking forward ahead at the future of the league. You do want to go back, review this VOD, and, work on as a team, figuring out exactly what adjustments you need to make. Barring, of course, they did have a sub, so things happen. But nonetheless, there are some things to look over with this match for this team, and they will need to make some adjustments as they move forward with the rest of the league. But that is just the first match for tonight. We have another match for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. After a quick analysis, we're going to get Gizmo in here to do some quick light analysis before we head to a quick intermission and come back for match number 2, which is the last match of the night. Unfortunately, we do 2 matches for Rainbow Six Siege, and that is going to be Whiskey versus Zulu out of Division 4. So we're going to be super excited to see how that plays out. But until then, we're going to go to some analysis to recap, why Romeo was so successful in winning and get that 7-2 win. And we'll be right back after this quick break.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Stay Plugged In Winter Breach Season 1. I'm CLT Pathfinder. With me,
Gizmo.
the Gizmo, the Gizmosis. Welcome back to the analysis desk. We had a great match number 1. But first, we want to talk about our gamer of the week. Who is the one and only Benny, who we just saw sub for that last match and showed up for his team. He's also been an awesome guy to just work with in the community, very responsive, and very excited to be in the league. So thank you so much for being awesome, Benny. We love you. Keep it up, brother.
Yeah, and on to something for the game itself. I want to head right into the MVP for the last match. It's not going to be your top fragger like you would expect. It's C-Foles. So C-Foles is on the support role, and he actually got 3 objectives played, as well as going 7 kills, 3 assists, and 4 deaths. So that's extremely good from a support player. He's also helping with the IGLing on that team as well. So he played a fantastic game. They won 7-2. So on that support role, it's super important.
Yes, it was. So let's break it down, Mr. Analysis Man. Gizmo, give me the notebook. Give me all the things that we saw from each of those rounds. Just break it down for me.
Yeah, so 7-2 isn't really indicative of how much of a good match that was. Every round came down to a pretty low man count, and so both sides had the opportunity to win the round. Romeo plays together outside of the league as well, so I think that kind of gives them a boost.
Sure.
And kind of helps them out. And you can kind of tell that in their coordination and their trades. Their trades were very, very impressive throughout the entire match. Even on the almost clutch that Kilo had on the basement, there were some nasty shots from Ravioli getting one off of a white van, and then they just kept getting traded out by the defense. Like, they couldn't really do anything. Yeah. So that was really impressive. And I got to shout out the play of the game. Came from Kilo's side and actually came from Benny the sub. That 1v3 clutch in the basement was absolutely spectacular. He let that 81 sing from the Alda on Maestro. That was impressive to watch, and he just kept going at him. I mean, 10 bullets left after 2 kills, and he's still going to go for the last one to get the defuse. That was amazing. And what was actually really surprising to me was top floor is kind of falling out of the meta, and so we kind of saw that in the first 2 attacks that came from Romeo. They took both the first attacks on top floor. They kind of made it into Swiss cheese from the windows, and on the first round, and then admin from the second. After that, the defense went down low, and then they went down low into split, and then back up top and lost back up top again. So we could tell that it wasn't really that strong of a site. Yeah. And then, so they just kept going back to it, and even Romeo went to it, and they won theirs, which was impressive. Just it has kind of fallen out of the meta just because of that Swiss cheese from the windows. It's hard
to get in through those windows because you're constantly getting lit up.
Yeah, so you just have pretty much full map control from outside the map on that site. So it's the runouts are imperative, and with the Valkyrie ban, that's just really hard to do because you have no intel on what window they're on, if they're upside down, left side, right side. It's just kind of hard to get rid of them.
Yeah. Cool. Totally love the analysis. Anything that you think that the Romeo squad should continue to carry into the next match as they keep going forward?
It's those trades. I mean, they've got the communication and they've got the duo roam. So you can see kind of how they're working on a system. They go for flanks together, pretty much hold hands going up the stairwells, and then while they're on the top floor, they're roaming together and they're getting the trades. And you put one in a bad spot to get 2 out of the one on the cross. Yeah. So they did a great job on those trades.
What about Kilo? What do they need to work on?
Kilo is you got to work on the trades, number 1. So that was something that was kind of not there. And then 2 is just communication and coordinated pushes. So there was a lot of solo plays, a lot of pushing in. Yeah. And so if you hold crosses and push in together and have, even just like a 3-2-1 countdown. So like, oh, we're going to execute on 1. And then you 3-2-1, everyone goes. Yeah. A lot harder for that defense or the opposing team to be able to fight back against that.
Got it. Cool. So what about our next matchup? Give me a little bit of what we're coming up to next.
The next matchup is going to be a game between Whiskey and Zulu in Division 4. Okay. And so Whiskey, I believe, is undefeated, and the other team is 1-1. So.
Oh, wow. So it should be a good one. See if Whiskey continues to reign. But that was match 1 from the Winter Breach League here at Stay Plugged In headquarters in Charlotte, North Carolina. We are going to be right back with game number 2. coming up.
So talk about players in general, from a coaching perspective, from an owner's perspective. What attributes do you typically look for in a competitive player? What kind of stands out the most? Obviously, they have to have a skill set to get to this level. But beyond that, not just for them, but to obviously grow the team, grow the brand, et cetera. Is it social media following? Is it just skills? Is it team dynamics, chemistry?
No, yeah, I'll tell you, man. And I have a pretty specific example of what I look at. First, whenever I'm watching players play at LAN competitions, like major tournaments, I'm always scouting other teams too and their players, right?
Yep.
Looking at what's out there and who we're playing against, and I just watch tons of games. I watch tons of matches. I watch Twitch a lot, but I'm also at these events when we were having them pre-COVID. I traveled all over the world, going to the biggest tournaments in the world, competing with my teams. But I would always look at the other players playing if two other different teams were playing and we were waiting to play a match or something. I'm always watching.
Sure.
And there's this you got about split seconds, basically, few seconds after a match or a map finishes or a round finishes. If you look at the losing team's face in a round or a map, or the match, and you see the guy that's really pissed off when he loses, that's the guy you want. And he also has to have a combination he has to have that balance of being able to bring himself back into the game.
Sure.
Right. And getting his head back into the game and being positive and continuing to work hard and being able to let it go, but the first thing that I look for is the guy that's real mad when he loses, because that's the guy that cares the most. And those are the guys I want.
Yep.
Welcome back, everyone, to Winter Breach. I am Box Turtle. Alongside me again is none other than Tails himself. How you doing?
Doing great. Quick little break there. Grab some water. A good match.
Yep.
One. It wasn't too close. It was a 7-2 in favor of Team Romeo. I'm hoping for a little more of a competitive match here. But that's what the beauty of this recruitment league is all about, right? This is a long process. This is not a single standing tournament that makes or breaks you, right? The whole point of having a highly structured recruitment league is season to season to season over the course of your high school career. Can you continuously improve, continuously be involved, all while being watched closely by collegiate recruiters. So I'm super excited to have another match here. But here we go. Here's our match number 2. It is Whiskey versus Zulu.
Yep.
So take me through any initial thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, we are going to be seeing Cafe. That is the band that has come out. So a little bit interesting dynamic. We haven't seen that yet so far in any of our matches from from last week or from today. The matchup we are going to see is going to be Whiskey versus Zulu. So this is going to be a Division 4 matchup. A couple seniors line both of these teams, starting off with Team Whiskey. We do have the rosters for you ready to go. That is going to be, of course, Spoon the Shooter, Gimp, Ham, and Dragon and Plasma. A couple seniors line that group as well. Actually, no, that is a team of all seniors. I take it back. All seniors.
Wow.
And on the other side, we have another team of all seniors in Zulu. Take us through that roster there, Tails.
Zulu, another team of all seniors. That is insane. We have 10 seniors in the lobby right now, which is quite incredible to say the least. And that consists of Luna Sol Yahurg, not really sure how to say that one. The Chef, Mello, and Soreve. I honestly have no idea. One of my major weaknesses is the ability to pronounce words.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Maybe I need some, one-on-one training. I'm not really sure. But these two teams have, kind of a different look, I think. So take me through Team Whiskey a little more in depth, Box Turtle.
Yeah. So Spoon the Shooter, obviously one of the seniors, is a fragger for them. Does have the highest overall siege PR in the league so far. So is the highest currently rated player. Has been absolutely phenomenal so far. Has a KDA of 3.29. Like, what in the world? Absolutely incredible. Has played 18 total rounds and has a 3.29 KDA across all of those. So insanely, impressive stats. And Gimp on the other side does himself have a 2.08 KDA. So a couple really, really good fraggers line the top of that roster. And then, of course, Ham and Dragon are going to be making up the rest of that roster as subs as well. So this is going to be an interesting matchup to see exactly how they go against this with two subs on the board. But nonetheless, a 3.29 KDA, that's insane.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's insane.
Absolutely. That is something that you don't really see that often. That's really indicative of that person's gun skill and able to kind of read the flow of play and understand when to peek, when not to peek, where to peek, right? Where are those defenders playing? Obviously, probably playing off a good amount of intel that is being given to him from his support players.
For sure.
But kind of transitioning, looking in depth at Zulu, we have 2 fraggers and 3 supports as defined by that roster. And that's a good mix. That's kind of what I like to see. In that, that one of those supports is a flex, right? You kind of see some structure like TSM kind of flipped, right? With 3 fraggers with 2 supports underneath them. And then, you've seen that kind of support-esque roster in like the old G2 that we were talking about before, even though that they kind of switched to a more aggressive lineup as well. But I think there's still value in that, kind of looking like SSG, right? There's the 2 support players, a flex, and then 2 fraggers. So I kind of like the ability to be flexible. So, I'm thinking one of those supports probably considered a flex, but that's kind of ambiguous in today's world of Siege with so much different ways and different strats and different metas that you can kind of participate in there. But I'm super excited to see kind of what happens here. I think we're about to launch into game any second now. But give me your initial thoughts. What's your prediction? Who's going to take this victory, and what's the scoreline going to be?
Scoreline too. Oh my goodness. I think we're not putting money on this one. On paper, it's relatively similar, right? These are both Div 4 teams. They are all seniors, so they are a little bit older of a roster. We are getting this match underway right as we speak. But I do think that this is going to be a Whiskey match. I do think they are going to be the ones to take this. It's too hard to decide. I do think if they are going to win, it's going to be like a 7-5, maybe even potentially in overtime if we are lucky enough to see such an incredible match. But I do think that this is going to be something that we are going to it's going to come down to those individual situations, right? It's going to come down to exactly how each operator is using their utility and not necessarily the positioning on those maps, but more or less, the specifics of when you get down to the nitty gritty of what exactly their play styles look like. So that's what I'm anticipating from this. I believe Whiskey is going to take this away, but if they do, it is not going to be by much.
Yeah, Whiskey has the number 1 player in Winter Breach right now with Spoon Nashuta, a fragger, and then also on Zulu, the Chef and Yahir are 2 of the top 5 rated support players in Winter Breach. So like we were talking about before, it's going to be a very interesting balance, right? Is it more important to have the best fraggers or the best support players in this level of Siege right now? It's hard to tell. I think going off the map selection in Cafe is really strat dependent, right? You have to have really well thought out strats and great communications. You can't really just it's not like Coastline where you kind of run and gun around the map. You need to have dedicated strats both in the defense and the attacking side to be successful round to round. But we are going into the bans here. We are a bit behind. We did see Zulu ban IQ and then Whiskey ban Thatcher and Kaid. And now it looks like Zulu will be taking the last defensive ban. These are pretty interesting. An IQ ban tells me that they want to run a lot of Valkyrie and play super, super aggressive, right?
Yep.
And then they ban a Clash. So we do have Mira and Maestro on the board. And I used to be a Mira main, right? When I played Siege competitively, I was a Thermite Mira main.
You would.
And I loved Mira.
You would.
And the Mira...
It's not surprising at all.
Oh, the Mira setup on second floor cafe, the old cafe and the new cafe is one of my favorite setups to play. It just feels so natural. It's such a great defense, and I really hope to see some Mira play as well. Unless there's a 6-pick, though, I think my wishes are going to go unanswered.
Yeah, they definitely are. Super interesting coming out here early, right? We do see the Wilmai come out, and the Valkyrie, like you said. None of those two things are surprising. We do see the Jaeger, of course, which does seem to be the staple of Winter Breach and competitive Rainbow Six Siege so far, of course, as that roaming, especially playing on that third floor, trying to control maybe a little bit of that red stairs somewhere around there, control a little bit more of those rotations. The Legion does come out as well, so a lot of intel coming out for this team on defense in the Valk and the Legion. And then, of course, you have that Wamai, right? So I'm imagining that they're probably going to play this a little bit closer to sight, try to predict more or less specifics on where exactly this other team's going to push, and then basically just let this Jaeger and Sorvitos kind of run around and do whatever he wants. That's more or less what I think is going to happen here, and based off how they are reinforcing, that does seem to be the case, but I would not be surprised if we see something a little bit more spread out, especially considering you do have, the Buck, obviously, as we do see come out, which is going to be really good for those soft walls, and then the Thermite and the Ash as well. But also the Jackal coming out here playing by GURP. So, this is going to be a little bit interesting attack here, pairing up against this closely connected defense. I'm excited to see exactly how these two teams are going to approach this.
Yeah, I think the defense, like you were saying, it's a very flexible setup. Defending that bathroom door into Christmas tree room, piano room, however you like to call it, is super common, right? You put a deployable shield there. You either have the Jaeger or the Wamai, ideally the Wamai, because you can just keep throwing those Wamai discs to soak up any grenades, launchables, concussion mines, flashbangs, to just really be like, hey, I don't care what you throw at me. It's going to be eaten up. But they are behind on the setup right now. They're currently setting up in Freezer right now to reinforce the rest of the wall. And without those two reinforcements the Bandit just put down, this would have been an easy attacking win for the attackers, as that's a very key wall that leads into a great sightline into that freezer room in the center of sight. But here we are. Yep, the Wamai is playing this default shield position right outside bathroom into Christmas tree. There is a competitive name for that, but it is slipping my mind right now. But I'm super excited to see how this plays out. I think this is a pretty basic setup. We're playing super aggressive on the hatch. I love this angle by the Bandit here. You can just decide to play incredibly aggressive and peek the top of red stairs, peek the skylight, and the hatch on top of what I call B1, the first balcony, in that northwest corner by red stairs after you drop down one of the two ceiling hatches. Ooh, an early kill from the Bandit using iron sights onto the Maverick, who repelled into Christmas right next to that piano, the actual piano. But it does look like they have B1 and B2 control now. They are peeking pretty aggressively. I feel like the Jaeger should have gotten that kill, but I'm going to be surprised to see what happens here. A Nitro comes out, and an easy kill. That they don't understand where that Bandit's playing right now.
Yeah,
that Bandit's playing super aggressive.
That was way too hard of a peek there. Just, immediately sprinted into that doorway. Not exactly the angle that you want to take, especially given how long that sight line is for the Zulu side, but nonetheless is going to take that down to a 4-3 with Spoon the Shooter on that Ash. Barely any health at all. And, basically like we called it, the Jaeger not quite roaming around as much as we initially thought. Maybe rotated his around and made his way back to sight. But we are going to see a pretty concise push here from this Whiskey side coming. This setup here by this defense is exactly what you want to see. They are completely and utterly shutting down every entry by this offense onto sight here, as we see, Android on that Wamai is going to be sitting behind that barrier, just waiting for somebody to peek that long enough to get the quick dink on the headshot there. But again, slowing down the passage of play. Only 15 seconds left on the clock for this offense to make something happen. It is a 2v4, so a lot of work needs to happen, and exactly what we want to see there as the Wamai gets the easy pick there on Plasma to get that last kill, as Dragon is the last one left with 5 seconds to take down all 4. He is not going to do so. Does get 1, but that round is going to end, and that is going to go in favor of Zulu for round 1 on defense.
Yeah, as we all know, Cafe is a super defender-sided map.
Yep.
It is one of those maps where you can kind of just sit back. I always say, my joke is that you can sit back, get a drink, go AFK for 2 minutes, and then actually grab your mouse and keyboard and finish the round.
Yep.
Because it is, it takes that long for the attack to kind of set up, go through all the defender utility, and then actually start to look towards getting those frags in the deeper parts of sight. But we do see relatively the same lineups again. That Buck ended up turning into a Sledge. We still have a Jaeger, a Legion, a Bandit, and a Valkyrie off the 6th pick from Smoke. And then the Malusi is changed from what we had last round, which was the Wamai.
The Wamai, yep.
So I'm super excited. I do believe they are going to Kitchen. Yep, the defenders elected to go to Kitchen. That's kind of the crowd favorite number 2, especially at this level of play in amateur. You typically go top floor, that 3rd floor site in bar and cocktail, and then you go to 1st floor, which is that kitchen site as well. And then there are 2 sites in that 2nd floor, and it's really kind of up to the team in particular of which site they go to next for that 3rd site. I do see the defenders taking this one as well. I think the attackers just aren't communicating well right now. I think, that Bandit kind of showed that Bandit got 2 kills and a down before being traded off, playing a spot that should have been easily drawn out, be like, hey, there's a guy right here. Let's throw a flashbang or a grenade or just peek from the skylight and kill that Bandit, right? So not really sure what happened there. I hope they find some better communication to start it clear, because I think Zulu's going to take the same strat again. They're going to play super aggressive and peek those entry angles to try to get an early kill. But we'll see. It looks like they might be going for a top-down clear, or at least enter in the 2nd floor. Maybe they had drones on the red and white staircases kind of early in the round, and they were able to hold those rotations using the drones to make sure there is no one lurking on that 3rd floor. Oh, no, it does look like they're going all the way up to 3rd floor. And they're going to drone themselves down, which is not a bad try by any means for Cafe, right? There's 2 staircases that make it the top staircase and 3 that go from 1st floor to 2nd floor. So if you hold those staircases, which are at the bottom of them, do give you really great sight lines to kind of execute that last stage of the attack. Really super well. So we do see some roamers in 2nd floor. It looks like they are going to be trying to use some C4s from this Valkyrie to play or to counter this roam. Little confused there. I thought the Valkyrie was going to die. Not having on someone on red stairs, see that position right there from the Jackal on white stairs is what someone needed to be holding on red stairs, and that Valkyrie would be dead. Yep. Right. So I think they had a little bit of a blunder there. I think one of the entries just was in the wrong position. But it looks like, we have 3 players on white stairs, but no one on red stairs holding that rotation.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, this is already I'm seeing a very drastic improvement from what we saw from this Whiskey team on the 1st round on offense. They are taking their time. They are droning their way in. They are trying to battle some sightlines. I say that as Gurmp gets picked there by Mello there on the Valkyrie.
The Valk was being tracked.
Yeah, just super quick peek there. I'm not exactly sure how you give up that position there, but it is traded out as Spoon is able to take down that Valk as that trade and get the double there on Luna. Excellent double kill to take down and take a lead here, taking out the cameras, of course, gaining a little bit more side advantage. We're seeing this Whiskey side is playing a little bit more slowly, of course, droning themselves again and giving them visibility on this other team, which is something we did not see them do in that 1st round. We saw a couple situations where, it was rotating into the map and just hard pushing in and peeking those long angles mid-sprint, which is not exactly what you want to see. And already we're seeing a big drastic improvement here as Dragon is able to get the peek there, and attackers are going to win off a couple quick 3 kills there from Spoon and Dragon to take down the last players on site, and Whiskey have leveled this one up 1-1.
Yeah, the defenders kind of just fell apart there. After that, Valk just very aggressively peaked and won that duel against the Jackal being tracked. I was like, wow, I think there's going to go on and, Zulu win this round. But the attackers were like, no, the Ash pushed down red stairs, got a kill, and then knew that more than likely someone was going to be re-peeking. that Ash, and she held that angle at head level. That bandit peaked, and there goes his life. So now that we are looking into round number 3, they're going to be going to a different site. So they're like, hey, kitchen went really bad for us, right? We only got 1 kill, and then the rest of us were kind of mowed down. So now we're going to go try reading room in fireplace, which is kind of, in my eyes, one of the more common third sites or third choices. Personally, I think train and fireplace is not the best site. I think this site's a little stronger because what you can do on this site, you can play vertically from cocktail, right?
Yep.
So you can basically take the same exact defensive setup with a few modifications that you would use on second floor or on that third floor defense, cocktail and bar, and then build that out, right? Reinforce ADSs, Legion Goo mines, whatever intel pieces you have like Valcams or Evil Eyes or Miras, and do that exact same thing. Play in cocktail, put 3 players up there, and then open up floor holes. So if they try to come in from that east balcony into pillars, it's really easy to kill them as they walk into sight. So I think we see exactly that, right? I think they're doing the same idea here. They're going to be playing aggressively in second floor with rotation holes. Looks like they ping that wall for that rotation. Very common reinforcement there from the Valkyrie to peek off of in cocktail. Yeah, this is a pretty basic setup. This is kind of the default setup. Here's those floor holes that I was talking about. As long as that smoke doesn't, or that mute doesn't shoot his teammate right underneath them. And you kind of just play these white stairs. You play cocktail, put 1 guy in reading room with these sight lines from reading into fireplace. And you kind of see most of the entire map. You can see all of sight. You can see pillars. You can see all of second floor as well, quite easily.
Yep.
So it's really, really great position. The only disadvantage is that, those are some pretty long angles, and having, these smaller caliber SMGs that don't do that much damage at range kind of hurts you in the long run versus those ARs of the attackers. But it looks like a Jaeger.
Yeah, that's not what you want to see. Gets the 1, but is going to get traded out just on that long angle, holding behind Piano. Not what you want to see at all. Spoon trying to get a quick peek there over the top of that balcony, but is not able to get it. Not what you want to see from that push. Again, this Whiskey side is pushing these long angles so heavily, and I'm not exactly sure what the mentality is here behind why they're making these decisions. They say they took their time that second round. They were patient. They worked their way down from top to bottom to drone themselves in and get some visibility on the enemy team on their last attack. But here, back in this one again, we see just running around corners, holding or peeking those long angles very heavily. That's just not the way it's going to work out against the Zulu team, especially not one with Valkyrie and Legion gathering all that intel on the team. So really, this Whiskey side does need to make a lot of changes moving into the moving into the 4th round. But ultimately, they do have their work cut out for them here in the 2v3 and the rest of this 3rd round.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do see Mello on the flank here at the top for red stairs. Just slow playing this. This is a really good decision here. The Maverick does pick up a kill onto the mute, I believe, and this turns it into a 2v2, and all of a sudden really in the attacker's favor because the Valkyrie is at a very low health, right? She's sitting around about 20 health, and 1 bullet from either of those guns, the M4 and or Thermite's, I'm not sure which one that one is, but Thermite's gun as well would put that Valkyrie into the grave. Oh, gets 1 kill here more than likely. Yep, does get 1 kill. If they can finish that might come back to bite them because now that Thermite can be picked back up at 20 health. But now it's an even ball game. Both of them are at 20 health, and we're going to see what this 2v2 turns out like. But there is no really attack executing utility here. They're both going to drop into laundry, not the smartest position. Gets 1 kill, gets 2 kills. Yeah, that's not what you want to do. You don't want to drop into the laundry room, which is basically a 10-foot by 10-foot death box. There's 1 doorway out or a rotation hole that the defenders typically open up, and the defenders were like, oh, we just heard 2 people drop a hatch. Oh, they're in cocktail. The only hatch in cocktail goes into laundry. Let me just pre-fire those angles.
Yeah, this Whiskey side is one of those teams so far in these first 3 rounds that we've seen that when it goes well for them, it goes really well. They take a round. Commandingly so. 4 people alive in that round that they won. Even slays across the board. Dragon with a big double kill in that second round. But this is also a team that when it goes bad, it goes very bad, right? They've made some very poor choices in terms of how they're peaking those angles. Like you said right there, dropping into laundry, one right after the other, and the crossfire ultimately killed him within seconds. I'm not exactly sure what the thought process is there, but they do need to revert back to their play style from that second round and provide a little bit more pace to their style of play and let the Zulu defense over-rotate themselves, right? We've seen a lot of hard peaks, especially on these balconies from this Jaeger and from this Wamai so far in Android. I think that this Whiskey side needs to take a little bit more patience into their pace of play and let the Zulu side over-rotate themselves, play for those picks, and then move on to site. So far, we haven't seen that yet from them except for that one round, which, again, they won. So I think they need to mimic exactly what they did in that second round.
Yeah, we see a pretty basic setup here. It looks like my wishes are finally being answered in a mirror coming out on the board. I think this is going to help Zulu a lot here. This is a pretty basic mirror setup here. You put one here on this single wall in Cocktail. You can peek left or right off of that, and then you're going to put one here as well and open up the rest of Freezer, which I'm not quite sure if they did open up the rest of Freezer. I might be, that's kind of the basic way to do that. You can kind of also bait them into opening that wall with Hard Breach themselves. I don't like to do that because if you do kill that Hard Breach early, then all of a sudden that wall stays closed and you kind of lose the point of that mirror that looks into Freezer. So I'm sure those walls are open as well. Those sight lines, basically, you can sit in Cocktail and actually see all the third floor. You can see Piano, you can see B1, you can see Shop as well, Cigar Shop. So super important sight lines there. And they're just going to sit here and play these. They're like, hey, if you walk into sight, we're going to see you behind a bulletproof glass window that you can't see through, but I can. And then, I'm going to shoot you. So this Lana, so what Lana does is she has a hologram that is basically a drone. And if a defender shoots it at all, it disappears. So super useful for a map like Cafe where there's so many cross angles that you typically see teams take her as just like an infinite drone, basically, right? You can keep throwing those as they recharge over time and be super successful in trying to get that continued level of intel. But we do see kind of a slow push here from Christmas / Piano. They are on the rappel. They're trying to throw nades at that shield. They need to clear that shield, right? They need to get a Zofia charge pointed at that. They don't actually bring a Zofia, so it needs to be an Ash charge. They need to throw some flashbangs. They have 6 between the Ash and the Buck, and they really need to clear that shield. So what happened last time doesn't happen this time, right? And they're still using that Lana holograms to push off that Wamai. He does try to fall back and gets killed by the Jackal. Super awesome there. But we still see, just a continuance of this attack. We do get a trade back here. This is a 4-4. The defenders are pretty banged up. Ooh. Another kill onto the Jaeger from the Thermite, and that's massive. This is a pretty big advantage for the defenders. I don't know why the Legion is wide
what was that
there.
peak? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, you don't really want to do that, right? You're down a man. The defenders are, jeez. This round's going bad really fast.
With a triple kill. Is going to get the 4th one most likely on this last kill here on Mello. Mello is going to take this back down to 1v3, is low on health, but Gurmp is going to take that away and level this back up at 2-2 for this Whiskey side. And that's exactly what we're talking about, right? Again, this is a team that when it goes well, and when it goes wrong, it goes really wrong. And just thankfully that round, we did see the good version of this Whiskey team. They need to mimic exactly what they did there. I think they got lucky, right? That Legion over-rotated way too heavily on that balcony. They got a couple picks that maybe shouldn't have happened. But ultimately, their strategy leading into that map and playing vertically when they did worked out for them. I think that's exactly how they need to approach this 5th round as well and for the remainder of their attacking round.
Yeah, I mean, the attackers are in a good spot right now. Winning 2 rounds off of, 2 of the primary sites through 4 rounds is really good, right? They're an even split. They go and get 1 more, and that guarantees them that 3-3 split on the attacking side, and that's a successful attack, right? Cafe is defender-sided. Typically, the defenders want to end their side or their half at that 4-2 mark. Anything less than that is considered a bad defending half. Obviously, the attackers just want to split, right? If they can go to 3-3 and then get their 4-2 split, you get that 7-5 victory. But once again, we are seeing them going back to 3rd floor, and they're bringing a different lineup once again. They're bringing a Goyo, a Pulse, and a Malusi instead of that Smoke, Valkyrie, and Mira, or Legion kind of combining that we've seen the other 2 defenses here as well. Not seeing the same reinforcements as well. It looks like they're a little scattered right now. You know, I know some of these teammates have been put together on teams from an individual / free agent standpoint, and they're leaving walls soft that should not be soft. So those 4 walls right there in bathroom and freezer should be reinforced. Those are considered default walls to reinforce. You should always typically reinforce those because it's really easy for like an Ash or a Zafia or a Buck to kind of just get into the middle of piano and open up those sight lines, and all of a sudden you have freezer control, bathroom control, and from there you can get into there and you have much better, more advantageous angles to peek off of as an attacker to clear the defenders on top white, wood, and cocktail. So we'll see how the attackers can take advantage of here. But, you know, maybe they're trying to go for this, you know, bottom-up play on the defending side. Maybe, you know, try to bait them into freezer into those soft floors and then have this double-sided roam on the first floor attempt to, you know, get a few kills either with those nitro cells. But they are trapped right now. Unless there's... Oh, the Ashe opened up the rotation out. We'll see how this goes for the Ashe. So the Ashe is trying to clear the Pulse right now. They're playing the ring around the Rosie. The Pulse does get the kill finally. Not sure what the Ashe was trying to do. You know, I feel like they should have had some better, you know, more dedicated drone support. But, you know, right now, great chill trade. Excuse me. There's one more player and another great kill from Dragon and a trade from the Bandit. So now we're at a 3v3. Looks like there is 2 attackers on the first floor that are going to have to rotate up, and then there's 1 attacker on the rappel on the west side, that Thermite holding that bathroom doorway into White Hallway, which, you know, that shield does look like it's gone. It was a Goyo shield, so they probably shot it to make it explode as they retreat it back into sight. And I think this isn't a defender's advantage right now, right? They're 3v3. Still have the hard reach up, right? That Thermite's still alive, which might come back to haunt them. But at the same time, those walls are soft. So we're going to see that comes back to bite them.
Yeah, I mean, so far, again, both of these teams at the start of this round didn't exactly look like they knew exactly what they were going to do, but nonetheless, we've seen some excellent kills come out so far. Dragon, of course, getting those big doubles, and then Android, that Goyo, again, getting the kills for their team as well. Still a 2-2 on round split, and this is a 3v3. You know, you do have a hard breach that is going to go down, that Malusi as well. You do still have the Jaeger up, and that is so close. There it is. Luna is going to take that one down. Is going to get the second one, maybe.
Well, that could get 2.
That could get both.
Ooh. I don't really know how that didn't get either of them for any damage. That Thermite is... Oh, he's Thermiting from bathroom into freezer. I don't really know what that play is about. Typically, I would prefer to Thermite the wall from piano into freezer. But we'll see what happens here, right? The attackers are at a man disadvantage. They have some really great... lines of sight here. They can kind of just hold. The defense can kind of go AFK here. Pick up a kill or 2. That Jackal does not stand a chance by any means. The Goyo does finish this round. You know, that was kind of helpless for the attacks. You know, the anchors, they had no utility to clear those anchors, and they just walked into their sight lines. The Jackal does pick up a quick kill there at the very end, but gets traded immediately for that round loss. And the defenders, here it is. I think this is a pretty defining round. Can the attackers make this an even split into their advantage as Cafe's the defender side of the map, like we said before, or can the defenders hold strong and get this 4-2 split that they desperately want?
Yeah, you know, if you are just joining us, this is the second match of this evening for our D division. This is going to be Whiskey versus Zulu. Zulu's currently up a 3v2. But like you said, we are going to see a little bit of a familiar play here from the Zulu side. They are going to be bringing back the Mira and the Maestro, like you were saying. And, you know, again, that last round, it started out, I wasn't exactly sure what either team was doing there, to be completely honest with you. It did work out in favor of Zulu, of course, getting a couple big trades, and they've done really well so far late round in these matches of pinching that offensive push from Whiskey, right? Pinched them there at the top of stairs, basically prevented any of that counter rotation and just forcing those crosses on top of them. So far that's been good, but, you know, aside from that, I'm not exactly sure what the appropriate play is here for Zulu moving into this next match against Whiskey.
10 seconds left before insertion.
It does look like we're going to be having a rehost here. It looks like a player has DC'd from the lobby. So we are might be going to a quick break. We'll see how fast this lobby can kind of get back. But until then, let's recap kind of what we've seen so fast. The current score is 3-2 in favor of the defenders, Zulu. And, you know, we saw a mirror pick there as well, going for that reading room and fireplace site, which they were successful in holding last time because we had that double drop in the laundry. That didn't quite make the most sense. I think we're going to be able to get this up pretty quick. So we're going to stay on air and see if we can get the players back in the lobby. I think it was just a simple DC. So we'll get these players back in the lobby as quickly as we can. But I'm excited to see how they use this mirror, right? Hopefully they use her a little more aggressively, peek and land their shots this time, because last time it looks like, you know, they didn't really use those mirror windows. They just peeked the angles that didn't have the mirror windows, which doesn't really make sense. Like, hey, you have a mirror window, let's use it. So maybe they'll realize that this time, play those a little more aggressively and a little more efficiently. And then maybe pick up this round W and go into the break at 4-2.
Yeah, I mean, so far both of these teams, what we've seen so far is their ability in these team fights, right? Their gunfights have been absolutely incredible. Dragon, of course, getting a couple big kills. Android, of course, for the Zulu side, along with Mello getting a couple massive kills as well. So gunfight really is, you know, taking a lot of these fights from them, like leading them to a lot of these round victories. What we've yet to see so far is those play on bombs, right? We have not seen a lot of utility come out for either team. So far, it's just been something that it's, you know, I'm interested to see exactly how each of them are going to use their utility and approach these sites differently, especially as they continuously rotate through these operators. But it does seem that we need to take a quick intermission to set up this rehost. These teams are having some internet issues, so we are going to take a quick break, get you guys back on here in just a few minutes for the rest of this match as 3-2. It is currently 3-2 Zulu.
Yep. Until then.
We are back, everyone. We apologize for that. We have resolved the issues with the player having the internet problems, that we are here ready to bring you back into this match and getting everything going for you. Of course, technology is wonderful when it works, but when it doesn't, you know, it's super annoying.
It's no longer technology if it is not working.
Yeah, exactly. But
it goes into this beautiful built-out system and beautiful video games to like, this is a brick.
Yeah, a lot less lights, that's for sure. But we are back here ready to bring you back into this action. Zulu is up 3-2, continuing the rest of their defensive round. We did see the Mira, as well as, I believe, a Malusi and a Maverick come out. No, definitely the Malusi. I know we may have saw Wamai as well. This team is you know, both of these teams are approaching everything in a lot of various different ways. They have so far, I mean, we've seen at least 14 operators rotated through both of these teams so far. I mean, they clearly can't decide exactly what their plan is. We do see the Maestro come out here for them, as well as the Mira, the Smoke, the Jaeger, and the Malusi. So definitely looking for a little bit more area denial here from this team, trying to hold off some of those rotations and positionings here. We do see the Jackal again, as well as the Sledge and the Thermite, and the Ash, of course. That's going to be the staple for us. We see the Habana is going to come out as that 6th pick for this Whiskey side. I mean, what do you expect from this lineup here, knowing how this defense is setting up? How do you think the offense is going to be able to best approach this?
I think they read into it, right? So just so everyone knows, a little bit of clarification. After a rehost, the defenders and attacks have to have to pick the exact same operators, and the defense has to pick the exact same defending site. Yep. So there's no, you know, like, oh, well, they brought this, we have to counter shot them. No, you really can't do that. You have to bring the exact same thing that you originally were going to set up with. But both teams did do that, and I think they did read into it even before the rehost, right? They chose the 6th pick from Thermite to Habana to deal with the Miras, right? Yep. Habanas are very effective at dealing with the Miras because it is a range hard breach that you can shoot those pellets at. You know, obviously it goes in that 2x3 pellet formation. Those 6 pellets land. Shoot them at the Mira. And then the mirror, you set them off, the mirror explodes, and then all of a sudden, the mirror kind of loses that complete effectiveness because their gadget is no longer there. So we see a pretty basic setup here. It looks like there's going to be a mirror in laundry, which I don't typically see, but I'll be interested to see how successful this ends up being. I hope one of those mirrors going upstairs. No, they're both going to be going on the second floor. So as I was talking about earlier, this site reading room and fireplace, you can take your exact same setup from second floor or from third floor, that cocktail bar site, build that exact same site setup on that third floor, and then defend it the exact same way. It's just that the bombs are below you instead of right next to you. Instead, they elect to be pretty different this time, because they did kind of do that last time just without the mirror, but they put both mirrors second floor, both one in laundry, one in reading room, and now they're gonna look like they put one person upstairs to roam. The action is super aggressive here. I think Whiskey is going for this aggressive clear that we saw them be super successful on that kitchen hold at one point as well. So we'll see how this ends. They're holding good cross angles right now. Some light pre-files going through. There is only one Jaeger playing in cocktail, and I think there is also another defender on white stairs to help hold the cross if someone decides to push down white stairs. But until that happens, it looks like the Ash. Oh, it looks like the Jaeger did drop, I believe. Oh, nope, and it didn't. They were both there. He gets one, but does not get the Wamai. And the Wamai. Oh, and then we get a kill from I believe the Malusi onto someone. Oh, that's a pretty easy kill for the Sledge onto the Malusi.
Yeah, super smart rotation there from the Sledge. Able to quickly break that hatch and rotate around for the team there and get that kill. Super easy positioning there as we see Luna is going to take down Gerp to level this back up to a 3v3. Super smart hold there. Able to get that quick flick there at the top of the stairs to take down. But Dragon and I believe it is Plasma we are going to see working their way down to this bottom stairs. Excuse me, that's going to be Ham on the Iana, looking to rotate their way down through the stairs to try and gain a little bit more sight onto, these bomb sites here. And it looks like Dragon is contemplating dropping down into the hatch. I don't know if he's aware that there's a team waiting there right for him to basically, just kill him as soon as he drops. But nonetheless, here we are rotating back again, looking for another slow push here from this Whiskey side.
And it does look like something incredibly unfortunate has happened. It looks like one of the players on Whiskey has DC'd. I'm not quite sure what is going on there in any way, shape, or form. I believe it's the same player that DC'd last time, and they just said this is going to be a 4v5 for the rest of the time, so this is not looking good for them right now. But they might pick up this attacking round. They got to get the plant down. Oh, it is a 1v2 now. I don't know what the Sledge is doing. The Sledge, they don't have the bomb. The bomb is outside where that Habana unfortunately DC'd from. So there is no hope in winning that round. They cannot plant, and those defenders are playing super passively in the background as we continue. The defenders do get that, 4-2 split, which is what you want as a defender on Cafe to start off with. And now we're going to switch sides, and this does look like it's going to stay a 4v5 as they already had their one rehost. And it sounds like their fifth player is no longer able to connect. So, we are more than happy to let them try in a 4v5. But as we all know, when you're a man down in anything, whether it's esports, traditional sports, any competition in the entire world, you are at a significant disadvantage. So we'll see what happens here as we transition and flip sides. The defense is going to bring Mozzie, Jaeger, Maestro, and Valkyrie, four super good operators, and elect to defend that third floor site. But keep in mind that, there's always that peace of mind that kind of trickles in after some time of like, we're already playing a team that's one man down, so we're going to win this pretty easily. So then the team with 5 players starts to lose focus. They don't care as much. They are a little too haphazard, and all of a sudden they find themselves way behind, and they lose a couple rounds, they lose that momentum, and then something crazy might happen. So we'll see what happens. I think it'll be pretty telling how this round goes to see if if Whiskey has any chance of coming back at all.
Yeah, this Zulu side, it's now time for them to buckle down in this match. I mean, realistically, as you'd expect from a 4v5 in a game that does rely so heavily on that team chemistry and the ability of players and operators to play off of each other and use their utilities, it is time for Zulu here to close this one out. Obviously, dropping a round or two may not be the biggest deal, but they are looking to close this out 3 straight, winning a 4v5 5v5. It's definitely not ideal for this Whiskey side in what you're looking for. They do seem to be running some pretty, high-powered operators here in this Mozzie, Jaeger, Maestro, and Valk. But nonetheless, Zulu is going to be looking to close this one out right here and right now. At least that's what you would expect from this team.
Yep, absolutely. When I always tell, my teammates when the other team goes down a man, it's, hey, this is still a 5v5. Let's keep the same level of focus, the same level of dedication to ensure that we do end up winning this. And we see this. We see Whiskey playing incredibly aggressive right now. There are 2 people in bar peeking the B1 drop down in the skylight right now, which is incredibly aggressive. The Zafia does punish the Mozzie for over peeking. They see where that Valk is right now, and this might end up being another easy kill as that Valk and the Jaeger are still in bar. I'm not really sure what this is. I've seen this, Kanto, one of the pros on G2, has played this spot a lot. It was made famous by another player on BDS. I can't think of his name right now off the top of my head, but incredibly aggressive. 4, okay, that's crazy. 4 people just dropped there, and this Valk is bound and determined to get one here. Jackal does pick up another kill on the flank there. And this is going very poorly for the defenders as we speak, as this Valk is wildly out of position. All someone has to do is just peek around and rotate. Does get a headshot there, which is super important. Let's see if they can turn this around. Nope, gets traded off. And it is going to be a 3 versus 1 in the favor, or 4 versus 1, excuse me, in the favor of the attackers. And there goes the Maestro, and the attackers now go up 5-2. And I think this is how it's going to be for the next 2 rounds. This is going to be a swift defeat, unfortunately, as one player is unable to join back due to internet problems.
Yeah, that's what you would expect from the Zulu side. I will say, however, that 4 people dropping into the same hatch is not exactly the ideal situation that you would want. Plays like that, those hyper-aggressive plays that you were talking about, can lead to a little bit of a self-destructive play. Not necessarily the exact move that you want to be looking for from this Zulu side. It does work out for them, however. But that being said, we do have the 5th player back. So it is now the full Gurp, Spoon, Ham, Dragon, and Plasma for this Whiskey side. So it is going to be back to a 5v5. I'm happy for them that they're able to do that. Nonetheless, it is still a 5-2 match here in favor of Zulu, who is now attacking, only looking for 2 more attacking victories to take away the match series.
Yeah, they just have dug them in a bit of a hole here, but it is back to a 5v5, which is always better than having a 4v5 from a competitive standpoint. We never want to see that. We never like to see players, be at this large of a disadvantage. But looking at the lineups, we do see a couple changes. We're seeing an Ace brought out. I believe it was brought out last time as well with a Maverick, so I expect them to do a lot of hard breach here. On the defensive side, interestingly enough, we see a Rook. And I never liked the Rook pick, right? Rook doesn't really do much. You put down your crate of armor, everyone gets a plate, and what that plate does is basically guarantees that you go down if you get body shots instead of instantly dying. You instantly go down automatically. And that's about it. The MP5 really not that good. Doesn't have an ACOG anymore, so it doesn't really do much. As before, the MP5 was kind of the king. Spawn peak gun, high rate of fire with an ACOG on a 3 armor, just a really good success story if you want to spawn peak. But Rook doesn't bring much added value. It doesn't have any good gadgets, doesn't have any good utility, and it's really just there to shoot at people. And I think there's some better options if that's your entire idea. An aggressive play here from the Mozzie as that hatch gets sledged open. He does throw the nitro cell out. That's really never going to land. The chance of that landing is incredibly small. So I think Mozzie kind of just wasted the nitro there, but we'll see. Maybe he didn't need it. Jaeger once again is playing an incredibly aggressive spot right next to that bomb in bar, and all that takes with another person right next to him. I really don't understand this strategy. This is incredibly aggressive. You don't even see some of the most aggressive teams in the entire world employing this strat, where you have 2 people stacked on top of each other, which I don't think they have an ADS. So all it takes is 1 frag grenade from either Sledge or Maverick, and they're dead, both of them. Valk is also peeking incredibly a lot. So really all they need to do is drop down, get piano control, and peek this Valkyrie, Mozzie, and Jaeger. Ooh, speaking of that, oh, there it is. That is that peek from that wall in piano, and gets that easy kill on the Valkyrie. Looks like there's no rotation in bathroom, so that person in freezer is trapped there unless they want to rotate back into cocktail, as those hard breachers, I'm sure, are about to come in and open up that wall into freezer and get a kill on that freezer wall as well. Sledge enters in the bathroom. That wall is soft between sites. So this should be pretty easy. We do get a trade here. The Mozzie does grab the Zafia. Looks like from the skylight, actually. So the Zafia wasn't quite aware of where that Zafia was playing, or where Zafia was not aware of where the Mozzie was playing, and she gets her head taken off as well. Another kill from the attacks here. Jackal gets a kill onto that Jaeger party playing. Again, super aggressive. They're just throwing a lot of aggressive kind of angles. And another trade here. And another kill.
Okay, big kills coming out here from Plasma and Dragon, getting some kills, taking it down to a 3-2 in favor of Whiskey. Still needs to make up some ground here. Ham does seem to have visibility on, I believe it is the Jackal there. Yep, it is on the Jackal holding that bar area just outside. Washroom's going to be peeking through here. Android looking to get a headshot.
Ooh.
Not quite able to get it, though, just out of reach. And is going to fall to drop that diffuser. It is going to be a 1v2 for Mello here. Does need to make 2 quick kills here in the next 15 seconds to be able to stay alive, but it's not. And Gurp is going to take the headshot down on Mello to make this back a 3-5 round.
Yeah, this is some good defensive play. You know, it looked a little feeble at first, but then they're like, hey, let's peek off our angles that we defined aggressively and win those rounds, right? I do want to see that strat change a little bit, but it was successful there off of that, you know, great late round execute from the defending side, peaking appropriately and peaking properly paced to pick up those kills that they needed to ensure that they would win. But as we transition into round number 9, it looks like we're going to the kitchen site on that first floor with almost the exact same lineup. We have a Mozzie, Jaeger, Rook, and Maestro, and then the Valk just 6-pick to Bandit. Super awesome there. And then on the attacking side, we see a Capitao instead of, I believe, an Ash from last round. So some slight variations from the last round lineup. I think they both expect that, you know, obviously that the kitchen site is going to be the number 2 site, as it typically is in most areas of play. I'm still not liking this Rook pick. You know, I think it's kind of a little useless. You know, it doesn't bring, you know, as a defender or an attacker, you want to bring lasting utility for your teammates, right? So that means when you use your gadget, it has a lasting effect that kind of perpetuates throughout the round, or helps you really, you know, either get a kill or create an effect that does indeed, you know, have that perpetuating effect for that rest of the round. Rook doesn't do that. You know, you put those armors on, yeah, they're on you until you either go down or die, but they don't really do much to help the team win, right? It's all about individual mindset there. So I'd love to see maybe a Wamai or a Mute or a Smoke. I think it's way more beneficial than a Rook in this situation. But we'll see. I'm going to be interested to see if this is a top-down clear or if they're going to be going. It does not look like a top-down clear. I think they might be going straight into that white stairs semi-rush. Oh, no, it looks like there are going to be 2 players going upstairs. I hope that Capitao does not take the bomb with him on roam clear. But yeah, here we go. The ace is already opening up freezer wall from the bottom white, and this is huge. I think there's only 2 players. Oh, there we go. We get 1 kill onto the Bandit as the attackers are successful in their entry and do punish a Bandit for over-peeking through the breach hole that they had just opened up. This is super, super important. There are only 2 people left in sight, and ooh, almost another kill. That Rook is at about 20 health, but so is the Ace after they trade kind of evenly there. Shots missed on both sides there as they kind of continue this duel, and the Rook does get a headshot. I'm not sure that Ace kept peeking. Should have backed off, maybe scared him with the drone and see what happens next.
Yeah, that's a big kill there for the Ace, or on the Ace rather, from that Rook. That's exactly what you want, trading out that kill, especially after that early peek there. You know, getting that kill on Dragon, the Bandit, super early in that round through that sight line. But nonetheless, Gurp is going to be looking for the kill here, trying to get the wall bang. Can't quite do it. Is, of course, going to be looking to take that peek down, and does take down the bomb just outside that white stairs door. And this is back to a 4v3, and Whiskey is working their way back up to stay alive in this matchup.
Sledge! Oh no, Sledge! That's a great triple kill by Gurp here, but that Sledge throws a frag to make the Mozzie push up and then absolutely loses control of his aim there and whiffs completely. Another trade from the Capital onto a player peeking aggressively into that ace hole that was opened up earlier. With a Capital and a Zofia, this is winnable. There's a lot of utility on those two operators with firebolts, smokes, concussion mines, and impact. So, they can kind of kill Gurmp here on these red stairs and maybe pin him. Just like that, it's a 2v2. This is it. This is kind of a 2v2 setup with 45 seconds left. Teams practice this all the time. They're going to play a little bit of vertical play, and I think Capital might smoke and... Oh, no, the Capital. Oh, no, that's the Jaeger. Capital, yep, is still going to be going through the kitchen area, through that freezer. I don't think this is going to end well. That Alda is staring straight down. That Zofia needs to be peeking. Just like, what a shot.
Kill.
And walks right into the Alda. And the defenders take round number 9 and bring it back to 4-5.
Yeah, super big round there from Whiskey. I mean, big headshot there, of course, at the end. And then Plasma is going to follow that up and get that final kill on that Zulu side on the attack. And so far, apparently that 5th person, as you were talking about earlier, makes a pretty big difference as we are seeing. As we're seeing already. But this is battle back to a 4v5. There is still plenty of time. Of course, the Zulu side does only need 2 more rounds to take away this victory. If you are just joining us, this is the second match and final match of our evening. Zulu, of course, being up 5-4 over the top of Whiskey. We are going to see the Capital come out again, the ace. I do like the sledge play as well. I think Mello has had a solid game so far, but the Zofia is going to be interesting to see exactly how Luna utilizes the Zofia.
Yeah, absolutely. Zofia is one of the best characters in the game. A little over-kitted than 7.62 is one of the best assault rifles in the game. Oh, that was scary. Hits the wrong gadget button there, throws the nitro at his feet, and I always love to watch that because everyone instinctually pauses. There is a nitro at my feet, and if I press the wrong button next, I'm going to blow myself up.
Yep.
So everyone pauses and just stares at the nitro. It's just a little funny thing that happens whenever you throw a nitro in any game. That has nitro cells. But here, a different lineup, we see a castle come out, which is super important for this second floor site because you can kind of dictate what sight lines they can see and have to do. So, I see them sometimes in train, in reading room. I also see them employed upstairs in the windows in cocktail if they think they're going to be trying to clear cocktail and they want to keep that defensive pressure vertically. Those evil eyes are going to be super important in gathering intel in that final push. It does look like we're going to be using one castle to cut off pillars, so that takes the pillars rush out of question. They're going to use another one to cut reading off from mining, train off from mining, not reading off from mining, excuse me. And that's going to, really dictate the play as well. If you open that hatch in piano and drop down into train, you're going to be stuck in there or be pushed into sight. But this is a top-down clear. Sledge opens both hatch, and there is some light droning work going on throughout the map by, it looks like, Zofia and Ace as well as they search out any potential roamers. That Mozzie is playing super aggressive again in cocktail, but he has no reinforcements, which is not a good idea. Same thing with his Jaeger. I'm pretty sure there's no reinforcement in the bathroom wall. So, just one stray bullet that goes through that soft wall and gets that headshot is an instant kill.
Yep. No, you're definitely right. And that's exactly what we see. We are seeing that top-down play, of course. This Whiskey side is going to have a couple roamers sitting up top on that 3rd floor, trying to get a pick there on Skylight, but a plethora of drones coming out here. A whole army of drones coming out to scout out this top floor for this Zulu side. Looks like they are taking a little bit more time. They are going to force this Whiskey side back down the stairs towards their bomb site. A little bit more of a rotation coming out. But right off the bat, we're seeing that this is a very different Whiskey side in terms of how they're approaching this defense. But more importantly, this is a very different offense that we've seen so far. We have not seen a lot of verticality play so far from this Zulu side, and here they are utilizing it well. Of course, Sledge coming through and just knocking some floors out and opening up some sight lines for them.
Yeah, absolutely. We see they have fully transitioned into this vertical play, but more interestingly, there is an ambush raiding in train right now. The Maverick is using his blowtorch to open up some sight lines in that castle barricade, and it looks like the Maverick does get a kill onto the defense. That Jaeger, who wide swings that castle barricade where the peaks are. Can they get the Capital there? I do not think so. That Maverick is in a really bad position, or not the Maverick, the Castle was in a really bad position here. Luckily gets back. Not really sure how that happened. I feel like that should have been pretty easy there. But it does look like they pick another kill on the attackers, or on the defenders, and the attackers have a clear advantage here. Zafia gets traded off by the Castle and Pillars. Another trade from the Ace. That's a team kill. Oh, and here it goes. It was switched. It was a 3v4, and now it is a 3 versus 2 in favor of the defense as we head into the last 15 seconds.
15 seconds left.
Yeah, this is a confusing round for me. I'm not exactly sure what the appropriate play is here for either of these teams. They seem to be doing a lot of really questionable decisions, like that being one of them right there. Another team kill comes out, and it's a 1v2. Both of these teams making some really questionable decisions, but nonetheless, the defenders do win it and take it back to 5-5. They have won 3 straight now, carrying a little bit of momentum down into this round 11 for the rest of their defense. I'm not exactly sure the Zulu side knows what to do with this Whiskey defense.
Yeah, I think, they kind of got in their heads like, oh, we won the match. They said that that fifth teammate couldn't make it back, and then it looks like the internet problem was fixed. And it did come back, and it kind of messed with their mentality, and it went from 5-2 to 5-5 with 3 round wins in a row, and that's that full rotation. So now the defense can go to third floor, their preferred pick, right, with one of the best sites to defend in the game in general, and then also go back to kitchen, which they saw success there as well. So they might pull this back and do kind of like, a pseudo reverse sweep going from the 5-1 return after their player did end up coming back. So super awesome there. We'll see what happens. As far as lineups go, it looks like the exact same lineups as last round on the attacking side. Oh, there is a Blackbeard. Once again, we see a Blackbeard for the second time of the night. The last time was on the last map on a different team. Be honest, like I said last time, I don't like the Blackbeard pick. It's very similar to Rook. It's a very individual-minded operator. It really helps the individual, but it does not help the team really in any way, shape, or form, even less so than the Rook, right? At least the Rook still gives some level of armor, but Blackbeard just simply has a face shield for himself.
Yep.
And a couple flashbangs to clear some ADSs. They really need that. Valk throws a Valk cam onto the roof. Looked at that was pre-thought out. Ooh, lands on, behind the vent. Not sure how much that's going to see. That looks kind of wasted there. You're going to see, like, okay, there's 3 players that rappel up, and that's about it. That's all the intel you're going to get out of that, because all the hatches are unfortunately stuck behind that metal vent. But here goes. The Valk is playing incredibly aggressive once again. She's underneath the hatch right now, throws a nitro up. That does not connect with anybody. 0 damage.
This Valk is so aggressive right now. I love
the Valk, the Mozzie. I'm sure the Jaeger is there somewhere. Nope, the Jaeger is actually not playing crazy aggressive right now. There are only 2 people. Oh, no, the Smoke's there with the SMG-11. Is playing in one of the most aggressive spots in the game. The Valk does take quite a bit of damage, seemingly probably from a wall bang from the top red, or from a rappel that we just did not happen to see. This Valk continues to run around, goes back behind the deployable shields, right next to that bathroom door into White Hallway, which is a really strong position. Even at 30 health or so, she can peek that pretty easily and get some kills. But we do see Blackbeard get a kill onto one of the defenders, the Mozzie. So we'll see if they can continue this, reset and win these last 2 rounds to bring it into a 7-5 victory, or if we're gonna have a 1-1 split and eventually go to that overtime as well. But pretty easy, pretty even here. Not really sure what's going to happen next. It's going to be really dependent on the next 30 seconds or so, I believe.
Yeah, some really slow play, right? I mean, obviously on this top site, you do want a little bit of a slower entry, especially given that you know for certain that Valkyrie is somewhere up there, as well as the Smoke. Getting a little bit more intel, watching some of those hatches and skylights, making sure that nobody drops down. But ultimately, this is going to be coming down. Again, we will probably see some big entries here in the next 15 seconds as these gunfights start to happen. We do see that Smoke is prone behind this wall, is going to try and pick up the 1 kill, and does. Can he get the second one?
Oh, nope, does not get the second, unfortunately. Maverick does get the trade there. It is 3v4 in the attacker's favor, 35 seconds left. Right now, they need to take a deep breath, recompose, drone, and figure out where the advantageous plant is here before they become too aggressive and turn this and from a 3v2 into a 2v2, the Maestro does go down. This is a 1v2 situation, and the Zafia does get a double kill to finish the round, kind of going against what I was worried about of, not taking the time to drone efficiency, but with aim like that, 2 headshots, you're going to win most rounds if you can land your shots like that.
Yeah, big kills there by Luna, getting the big double kill there at the end on the Zafia, but ultimately they do need to take one more. And so far, what we've seen that when it does come down to these, 1-round differentials between these teams, it's usually that lower team that comes back and ties it up. And that's if I had to guess, that's exactly what we're going to see. Especially looking at that scoreboard that is virtually identical for both of these teams. I think this is going to come down to, we do see that Capital come out again. We obviously see the Ace, the Blackbeard, and the Zafia. This attacking team, their setup last round was perfect. They were patient. They took their time. They knew for certain where a couple of those players were based off, of course, how aggressive that Valkyrie was on those hatches and that skylight early on. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a very similar style from them, maybe playing a little bit more vertically, taking their time. But ultimately, they only need one more to take away a victory. Whiskey, of course, looking to take one more for themselves to tie this back up and take it to overtime.
Yep, absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. We'll see what happens. I think both teams have the potential to win this with the flawless round, if I'm being completely honest. If they play to their potential and really stop making some of these smaller mistakes. Like, if the attack lost that last round, it's because they didn't stop with 35 seconds left to drone the position of the last 2 players. Gotta do that, play a little safe. But as we see, these teams do play typically pretty aggressive. Even with a kitchen defense, we see a Mozzie on 3rd floor currently. This attack, I'll be surprised to see they go Freezer again. Freezer was wildly unsuccessful last time. It does look like they're going for a bakery clear, which I think is the more typical attack. This is kind of the default attack. You open up prep right here. This bandit looks like it's going to escape with his life. Somewhat unfortunately for the attack. That side lane is a little difficult to see where that bandit is, but the bandit's going to continue to peek. He's just going to swing and swing and swing and swing. Dragon has no fear at all. But a pre-fire does hit him and take him down to 51 health, which is a massive health decrease.
Keeps peeking.
Yeah.
Keeps doing it. That's so bold.
This is insane. He actually might get a kill here. That attack, they need to drone that spot. The Maverick is going here. It looks like the Maverick is going to be either Maverick tricking or doing it to get the bandits off the wall, which judging by that tap fire, you only tap fire like that if you're trying to clear gadgets. So it does seem like they are going to be clearing the rest of that with the Maverick tool. But the Capital does go down to the Mozzie. I think the Mozzie was on red stairs or maybe over by coat closet. Not quite sure where that Mozzie was, but all those .ETR guys, Gurmp, Dragon, and Plasma are super aggressive. Peeking back through the Maverick holes is Bandit. Does pick up a few damage hit points. A quick double kill for the attacks, put them in the man advantage. A pre-fire there, and it looks like Zulu might be taking this match.
Yeah, super early. 3 kills there, coming out back to back, taking this back to a 4-2 fight. We do see the Plasma is going to rotate around, trying to get a sight. A little too aggressive there, peeking through those sight lines on the site. Does get taken down. It is a 1v2. As Spoon is going to pick up a double kill of his own to take this down to a 1v2. Mellow and Android going to be looking to rotate around. Spoon trying to get this angle onto the doorway here. There is a... This is going to be so close. And does get taken down. Android picks up the kill there in round 12 on Spoon after that big double there from Spoon. Here's that runaround coming from behind him, peeks it on that Mozzie, takes him down, and it will be Zulu taking a 7-5 victory over Whiskey.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of saw that after that good double kill. That's a huge momentum swing, right? Establishing that dominance, and what they did off of it was they got that more map control, right? They took the rest of the site, realized that the rest of the players were behind on that back side of site or on that flank. So super impressive attack there at the end. Really by the book, textbook attack there. That's exactly what we want to see from teams that are at this amateur level seeking to get better. So super awesome there. But overall, great match. We had a little ups and downs there with a rehost and some internet problems from one of the players, but I'm glad that we got to finish most of those rounds except for one in a 5v5 fashion, and ended up with that 7-5 victory.
Yep. No, you're definitely right. Super exciting matches tonight. I was super impressed with all the teams that we saw, especially after that fifth player did come back for Whiskey. They rallied back and were able to put up a little bit of a fight, taking 3 straight rounds of their own. But ultimately, Zulu does come out on top. But that will do it for the casting desk tonight. Kyle, as always, Tails, welcome. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you casting alongside me, and I know, this duo never dies.
Hashtag Tails Turtle.
We'll be back Tuesday. We'll be back next Tuesday. Don't worry.
We'll actually probably be back later this week. Maybe tomorrow night, actually.
Most likely tomorrow. But
yeah, we might be casting some Rocket League tomorrow for her October season Fall Nationals bracket play.
It's true. We will be ready and here for you guys to bring you some more Siege and Rocket League moving forward from the casting desk. We're going to take a quick break, take you over to our analyst to break down more of what we saw from that last match. But that'll do it for the casting desk, guys. We'll see you in just a few minutes. Thanks.
Peace.
What a match with Zulu and Whiskey that we just saw. That was crazy. Almost saw the comeback from Whiskey. Did not see it coming because the first time they played each other, it was like a 7-0, and this time it was 7-5, a little bit back and forth. Sorry, I'm jumping straight into the match, but I do want to actually let's do that after. Let's jump right into the match. So, give me a little bit of your analysis on Zulu and Whiskey.
Yeah, so that was a really interesting map. So there was a lot of good plays coming out from both sides.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of off-meta plays. So the Blackbeard, definitely not meta. And the Rook, definitely not meta. And I mean, honestly, every time the Rook was brought, it won. And every time the Blackbeard was brought, they won.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's really interesting to see those operators get picked.
Yeah.
And end up turning the tides for them. But otherwise, they were both really aggressive teams. So
Sure.
when they were going for the plants, they were really the attackers were always pushed up really far. And any time that the attackers were trying to take map control, the defenders were up in their faces. They were playing as close as they could, taking as many gunfights as they can. They weren't really trying to play the 20-second meta, which is what traditionally is, and that's why they brought the Blackbeard. The Blackbeards, with the face shields, can be able to stop that aggression, especially on those hatches. So you peek them with just your head, and if it has a shield, you're going to win that fight 9 out of 10 times because you're eating 2 bullets and you're just serving them back. So that's pretty much what happened on the upstairs holds.
Yeah.
And it was a really aggressive match, and I think if both teams would start using a little bit more utility, they would see a little bit more consistent success.
Mm-hmm.
But 7-5, I mean, both teams obviously found some success.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of trades. I think that there were a lot of back and forth in this one, right? You'd be up 3-4, and then it would go to 3-2, and then it would be 2-1, and it was just kind of like this back and forth pretty consistently where I think they were coordinated and pushing well. It was just who won those micro engagements with each of those little pieces that happened.
Yeah, for sure. And so right now we're going to highlight the MVP of the match.
Yeah, we are.
And the MVP of this match is going to be Luna Soul.
Luna.
So it's going to pop up on the screen real quick for you. Luna had some great entry frags and some clutch plays on Zofia. He was able to get the kills when they mattered and put his team on top.
Yes, he was. We appreciate you playing in that match. Way to crush some souls and do some good stuff in there. I like to see it. But also, we want to highlight our senior spotlight.
Yeah.
So our senior that's very dedicated in the program. He's actually on my squad. He's been awesome to work with, has showed up on time, has been helping organize his team quite a bit. But that's going to be Metered. He's the man.
Yeah, so he's been really good. He's a co-captain as well as Lauren for his squad.
Yep.
And he's really interested in helping out with the program. He's going to try and help us with some community service hours, which are going to try to help him for a scholarship in Florida.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Metered. We appreciate you. You are rocking it in this program. I'm excited you're on our senior spotlight this evening.
Yeah.
Cool. Is that going to wrap it up? Are we done for tonight?
Yeah, we are done with tonight for the
Woo!
matches.
Okay, cool. Well, that has been Winter Breach from Stay Plugged In. This is season 1. We are ripping and roaring through the season. We got a couple more weeks left, and then we're going to jump into playoffs. But it's been an awesome program. If you're watching and you're not involved in our leagues, make sure to check us out. Go ahead to espin.gg and check out some of our programs. Right now, we have Winter Breach rocking and Fall Nationals rocking. But essentially, they're recruitment programs so that kids like y'all have the opportunity to be able to go approach some colleges, have some stats. We train you to do some of the things that you need to do in order to get into college. But we hope to see these programs grow, and we hope to see more colleges involved for the future so that we can have continued success for esports in the collegiate scene. But that's going to do it for us tonight. Chase, if you want to take us out.
Yeah, so we're going to be back next week with the final week of Winter Breach before the bracket. The bracket will also be next weekend for the top 50% of each division. So we'll be glad to see you back next week on stream. And also we'll see you back for Fall Nationals starting tomorrow.
That's right.
For our October season bracket.
That's right. We will. Fall Nationals tomorrow. That is the finals of Season 2. Make sure to check it out Wednesday and Thursday. But I'm CLT Pathfinder. With me is Gizmo. Thanks. Have a great night.